Today in Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington, the Minnesota Vikings play host to the NFC division-leading Detroit Lions, who are 6-3. Minnesota comes in here with a 4-5 record. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Bender along with Johnny Morris. And, Johnny, the Vikings have labeled this their biggest game of the year. They think this is their time to make the move. One reason they feel that way is Detroit's had a tough time here.
Oh, yes, they have. They haven't won here since 1974. You know what their record is against a Bud Grant team? 4-21, so they have a tough time beating the Minnesota Vikings.
We have a real controversy going on here. It's a quarterback debate. As we mentioned, Steve Dill started last week. Tommy Kramer had gone all the times before that. And we're still not sure who's going to start today.
I think they're trying to keep the Lions in suspense. Steve Dills came in and did a great job with Kramer injured. And I would have to imagine that Bud Grant, he is no dummy, that he's going to go with a hot hand and Steve Dills because Kramer's not 100% with that dislocated finger. If I was a coach, that's what I do, but Bud Grant is the coach. We'll see what he does.
That indecision, how does that affect the Detroit Lions? Well, we talked to the man who calls the defensive signals, linebacker Stan White, and asked him that question.
Well, Johnny, it depends on the team, but with Minnesota, with Dills and Kramer, they tend to stay with the same offense. Bud Grant has an offense that's worked for him in the past. It's won for him, and I think he's going to stay with it no matter who the quarterback is. Dills, in the game against Washington, tended to go to the backs and the tight ends a little bit more than Kramer does. Kramer has the propensity to go for the big play, to Rashad and Sammy White a little bit more. So that just may influence us to play the backs and tight end a little bit tighter throughout the game if Dills is in there, and if not, then maybe we'll drop off a little bit more in the wide receivers if Kramer's in there.
The Minnesota Vikings lost the first game this year 27-7, and you can see the standings in the Central Division. Detroit with a game-and-a-half lead over Tampa Bay.
That's right. If the Vikings lose, they would be 4-6, and Detroit would be 7-3. That would just about finish it for Minnesota. Big game.
Detroit has won the toss. They elect to receive. Rick Danmeyer approaching the football, and this game is underway. That's Rick Kane from the 5-yard line. He led the NFC in kickoff returns a couple of weeks ago, and now out to the 23-yard line. And that's where Detroit will set it up. Terry LeCount, an outstanding special teams performer for the Minnesota Vikings, made the tackle. Let's look now at this offensive line, and for all year they have been chopped up, but they have Amos Fowler back starting at center.
He's suffering from a bad knee, but he's been out for a few weeks and he feels a little bit better. Russ Bollinger's been hurt. And there you take a look at the wide receivers and tight end David Hill.
And Gary Danielson, Billy Sims second in the National Football League in rushing. And Dexter Bussey, who's averaging 5.4 per carry. First down now from the 23-yard line. That is Sims in motion. Danielson back to throw. Setting up the screen, complete to Bussey. Bussey to the 25, and Dexter Bussey will bring it out to the 28-yard line. Dexter Bussey has just done a very quiet job this year for this football team. As we mentioned, he's averaged 5.4 a carry, but that's also his 26th catch of the year. He's been overshadowed by Billy Sims. Looking defensively now at Minnesota. They're going to be starting their big rookie, Doug Martin, for the second week in a row.
He had a real good game last week as Mullany was hurt. As you look at the linebackers, Studwell is going to start at middle linebacker.
And in that secondary, well, they're going to have Knopf in there. There was some question whether he would be able to go today, and Keith Nord would replace him, but he is in there. This is Dexter Bussey going nowhere on a second down and 5. James White, their number 1 draft pick in 76, is on the stop along with this man, Matt Blair. Blair came back last week after having some problems with the shoulder.
He has a kind of an inflatable shoulder pad there because it's still a little bit tender. Blair hadn't missed too many games for the Vikings over the years. He missed a couple, and now he's back in the lineup. And a good play by White on that one. He just had penetration, and the Lions had no chance to get some yardage that time.
They feel right now that James Duck White is their best defensive performer in that forward wall. Third down and 5. Danielson to Sims. Sims trying to turn the corner. Mullany giving chase. Mullany has him and help ride. A big hit by Kurt Knopf. It was Mullany who reached in and slowed him up, but Knopf really finished him up.
He certainly did. Mullany credit him with the big play, though, because he got around Elias and kept forcing the play deeper and deeper and deeper. And finally, they got a hold of Mr. Bussey, and the Lions will have to punt.
This Minnesota defense doing the job in the first series. As you look at Tom Skladany, he does not like to kick outdoors, but he's going to have to obviously today. The temperature at kickoff time, 42 degrees. The wind out of the northwest at 18 miles an hour.
And it looks like they're going to try a punt block here. They got a lot of people up there.
10 men to be exact. Back deep is Eddie Payton, a big rush. but Aney gets it off to Eddie Payton, the brother of Walter. He has it at the 34. He gets away from Leonard Thompson, and he's going to bring it out across the 40 to the 42-yard line. Detroit finally able to stop his forward progress. Eddie Cole from Mississippi, a second-year man. And look at this. Is this going to be Tommy Kramer? Kramer is going to start, and there goes all our predictions down the drain.
Yeah, that makes Johnny Morris the dummy, doesn't it?
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And the crowd is not real sure they believe it either. We really had our case all locked away that it would be Steve Dill starting at quarterback, and it's Tommy Kramer. Well, there went all that homework. From the 41-yard line. In motion comes Sammy White. Give to Brown, and Brown gets away from one tackler to the 41. He got away from Jimmy Allen, a safety who came up on the blitz, and then Ken Fantetti, the middle linebacker, made the stop. Isn't that Bud Grant something? You can't predict what he's going to do.
No, I tell you, I would have, if I was a betting man, I'd have bet my house on it. But Bud Grant knows a lot more about the Vikings, and he's decided that Tommy Kramer's going to be his man, and of course, he has still Dills to go to if things go wrong, but last time out, Kramer had 5 interceptions. The Lions intercepted him 5 times.
Well, Kramer still has some problems with that ring finger on his passing hand. He dislocated it, and it's sore. It hurts when he takes the snap. And that time it didn't look all that good as he tried to hit Ahmad Rashad on second down 10. He didn't have an awful lot on that football.
No, he didn't. He went right to the wide receivers. Now, last week, Dills concentrated more on throwing to his backs out of the backfield because the Redskins tried to negate the wide receivers, but it looks like Kramer, as we heard Stan White say, he has a tendency more to go to the wide receivers.
Well, Tommy Kramer has really played very well for this football team. He has thrown too many interceptions, however. He's thrown 17, which is tied for the league high in the NFC. Changes now as they come out and do a 3-back offense. A tight end in there as Joe Sensor is in motion. Goes Terry LeCount. From the shotgun, Kramer completes to Ricky Young, and Young is apparently just short of the first down. On a 3rd and 10, it looks like his forward progress will be about a half-yard short. Walt Williams up from his cornerback spot to make the stop. Let's take a look at Ricky Young.
They went to the shotgun. You see Ricky Young on just a little sky out down the field, make the move to the outside. He was wide open, and Kramer hit him, but he couldn't quite get to that first down marker. And so the Lions apparently are going to get the ball back because Coleman has come in for Minnesota.
Here comes Greg Coleman, averaging 38 yards a kick. Ricky Young with that last grab was his 30th of the year. John Arnold goes back deep as the single safety for the Detroit Lions. No score, just underway, and Coleman to Arnold. Arnold makes a fair catch at the last second. He waited almost too long. Keith Nord, 49, was right on top of him, and at the last instant, he called for the fair catch. He made it at the 11-yard line. And for the second time in this game, the Detroit Lions have the football.
Need your help. Is it me or my 1981 Toyota Corolla? Watch. See what I mean? I know Corolla looks like a million, got plenty of style, not to mention a peppy 1.8-liter engine. But I ask you, is it me or my Toyota Corolla?
Give me a ride to the library?
Tell me, was it me or my Toyota Corolla?
Oh, what a feeling! Your Corolla! Toyota!
Just in time for Christmas. Save $10 each on 2 favorite Radio Shack electronic games. 2-player football or 2-player baseball. Both cut to $29.95 each. Computerized action games with separate controls for each player. Lighted scoreboard with built-in sound. Challenge a friend or play against the computer. Pitch a no-hitter. Score a touchdown. Be a winner and pocket the savings. Sale price 2-player electronic games. Only at Radio Shack, your Christmas electronic store.
This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Minnesota Vikings and the National Football League is prohibited. And there's the man who really fooled everybody, Bud Grant, starting Tommy Kramer today when everybody, and I say everyone, in the media thought it was going to be Steve Dills. First down at the 11-yard line after a 37-yard kick that time by Greg Coleman. Freddie Scott in motion. Danielson gives off to Dexter Bussey, and a lot of congestion That's Scott Studwell, number 55, the fourth-year man from Illinois, who's been sharing that middle linebacking spot with Jeff Seaman. And they picked up 2 yards on the play.
You know, the Vikings have really come along on defense. In the last 4 games, they've only allowed 51 points, which is darn good in the National Football League, and they've improved steadily. And then the offense had dramatic improvement last week, so if they can win this game, they'd be right back in there.
Boy, would they ever be, because their next 2 games are at home, while Detroit has to play Baltimore next week. Second down, 8 yards to go. Daniel, Sims comes out of there, though. That time, Sims, and the exchange ran into Gary Danielson, but he still was able to pick up some yardage to the 19. Tom Hannon and Nate Wright combined on the tackle.
Yes, they simply had a mix-up right on the handoff. There's a collision. Danielson almost got the tackle there. And finally, you saw number 43, Nate Wright, in on the tackle.
Billy Sims, who has 4 100-yard days. Look at this one. Is that a shock right now? 21-14. The Giants have lost 8 in a row. Oh, the Bears in Chicago are really putting one on Washington.
Peyton has a couple of touchdowns in that game.
Did he have a 51-yarder, I believe? Third down now, 2 yards to go. In motion is Dexter Bussey. Danielson back, lots of time to throw, and he hits Freddie Scott for the first down. Scott to the 27-yard line, and John, that protection was excellent on that play. Nate Wright eventually making the tackle.
And you hit it right on the head. It was the protection that he had. He had plenty of time because the receivers didn't break open until late. He pumps and then fires, and Scott makes the tackle. First down, Detroit.
Freddie Scott with 28 catches for the year. A year ago, he had 62. He's just an excellent wide receiver from Amherst. They call him Doc as he's working on his doctor's degree. First down now. The ball resting at the 28-yard line. Danielson on the first down. Little pressure to Dexter Bussey. Fred McNeil was breathing down his back, and Bussey, I think, took a look at number 54, and he forgot to catch the football. Doug Sutherland put some pretty good pressure up the middle. The Vikings this year have 15 sacks, so their pass rush hasn't been all that effective, but has picked up in the last 4 games. In fact, they had 6 sacks against Chicago earlier this year. Second down, 10 now from the 28-yard line. Detroit has historically this year been a very slow starting ball club. Where they come on is in the second half of play. From the 28. Danielson up to Bussey. Bussey trying to get outside. He's going to make it to the 31, and that's all. Where to bring up a third down, and still a long 5-6 yards to go. Over on that stop was Randy Holloway. The defense of Minnesota in the last 6 years has picked 4 number 1 draft picks, and all of them have been in that defensive line. And one of them was Holloway. Looked like Hannon getting up very slowly on that last one. Third down, 7 yards to go.
3rd and 7 for the Lions.
Jesse Thompson is now checked in, as they have 5 defensive backs in this play for Minnesota. Danielson back. Protection breaking down. Dave Roller, number 76, and also Randy Holloway. And that's the 16th sack of the year for this Minnesota team, and that will bring up a 4th down.
It looks like the Vikings are playing kind of inspired football. They know they get a chance to get back in it. As you see, in the first game, the Lions did not allow any quarterback sacks.
And I saw the films of that, Johnny, and one reason they didn't is Danielson was like a magician in that game, running away from people. That time he could not do it. And Skladany will kick for the second time, standing from the 9. Eddie Payton is back deep as you have a head-on shot on Skladany. Skladany coming in here 3rd in the NFC in punting. Eddie Payton going to let it hit. It takes a Detroit bounce and will be down at the 33-yard line. And so Minnesota will have the football for the second time. The Vikings with a 4-5 record after that impressive win last week against the Washington Redskins.
If anybody appreciates the end of the day, it's a Big A Auto Parts store. Because during the day, no other store works harder to give you quality parts and friendly service. Why, only this morning.
Okay, you need a muffler and a tailpipe. Brakes for a 67 Plymouth? We'll have it here by 11 o'clock.
Yes, ma'am. I can show you how that goes on.
You need 6 gas cans? Yes, we can grind drums. Is it a V8 or a 6?
Quality parts, friendly service. That's Big A, the hard-working auto parts store.
You know, I happened to tell my Allstate agent about how everything I have 2 of.
Hi, Dad.
Like 2 cars, he asked? Maybe Allstate's 2-car discount can save you money on insurance. I compared. Allstate saves me more. I can use the money.
Noah, dinner.
One wife.
Compare. Allstate's multi-car discount may save you more money. You're in good hands with Allstate.
And that's a promise from us, the good hands people.
Next Saturday, the LA Times 500 roars onto the CBS Sports Spectacular, and the battle of the NFL cheerleaders continues. Next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
First and 10 for the Vikings at their 34.
Tommy Kramer and his troops with the football now at the 33-yard line after a 42-yard kick that time by Tom Skladany. The backfield, Brown along with Ricky Young. Kramer wants to throw back to the other side. He has Ahmad Rashad at the 40-yard line, and he's going to be a couple of yards short of the first down at the 42. Rashad, who last year had 80 catches for the Minnesota Vikings. Ken Fantetti made the stop.
Let's take a look at Ahmad Rashad on the short out, dips back in, and is underneath the coverage as it was cleared by the rest of the Viking receivers, and Rashad gets himself about 8 yards. He caught 11 passes in one game earlier this year.
They were concerned about Rashad. In a practice Friday, he sprained an ankle, or at least turned it, but he seems to be all right the way he was maneuvering on that play. Had a lot of debate going on who had started guard, who would be starting at the linebacker spots, and of course the quarterback spot. Here's Ted Brown with a first down run. Brown to the 48-yard line. Brown earlier this year had a 100-yard day against the Chicago Bears. He gained 113 yards, and that was the first time a Viking running back had gone over 100 yards since 1978.
And I think you can just see the improvement if you watch last week's game in Brown. He's just starting to just feel so much better. That time he dipped outside of William Gay and got the first down, and they rushed for 201 yards last week, and that's a real key to any offense when you can start running the ball well, and the Vikings haven't been able to do that too well the last couple of years.
They've relied on this man so much, Tommy Kramer. There's a give to Brown again, and this time he is really belted. Good reaction by the Detroit Lions. They may have picked up a half yard, and that's all. Good pressure by William Gay, a big third-year man from USC. There's Al Bubba Baker getting up. Gay, of course, pressed into starting service due to the walkout of John Woodcock.
Yes, the Lions have had some controversy this week with General Manager Russ Thomas and Woodcock walking out. Gary Danielson made some comments, and I don't know. They've had more controversy this year being 6-3 than they did last year when they were 2-14.
I tell you, if they were winning, you'd wonder, huh? From the 49, second down and 8. Brown and Young, again, the running backs behind Tommy Kramer. Kramer on the second down, again, wanting to roll out. And he's going to try to hit Joe Sensor, but he was double covered at the 45-yard line, and that will bring up a third down. James Hunter, who has 5 interceptions this year for Detroit, had that play covered very well. Let's look at some of the play in the trenches.
There's Dave Purifoy, number 75 on Ron Yeri. And then he gets a little added shot from Ricky Young. I'd call that a double team, wouldn't you? 1, 2, 3, Ricky Young. And Dave gets a little ticked off. Boy, they really went after him.
Boy, Director Chris Erskine really had that one look like a boxing match going on. There's Bud Grant looking on his 13th year as the coach of this Viking franchise. Third down now. 8 yards to go from the 49. High snap. There's a little
what was that?
Brown to the 35, the 30. Brown to the 20. He's to the 15-yard line. That is a little pitch up the middle. And they were working on that all day long yesterday, and it really pays dividends on that play. Jimmy Allen eventually caught up with him at the 16.
And the snap was awful high. He almost had to miss, and he just got the pitch to Brown, and number 23 took it on down the field, dipped to the outside, got some good blocking. Sensor threw a good block. Come on, Ahmad Rashad, get in the action there as Jimmy Allen finally makes the tackle.
A 34-yard run that time by Ted Brown. They crossed up the Lions, and the Vikings with the first down at the 17s where they've actually marked the football. Kramer off to Ricky Young. Young gets 2 to the 15-yard line, and that's all. Fantetti again over there. Fantetti was a question mark coming into this game. He had some injury problems, but he has already early in this game made a couple of big tackles.
And so is Wes Hamilton, number 61, the pulling guard. He's in there. He's had a bad ankle, and he does a good job. He kicks number 44, Wayne Smith, out to allow Ricky Young to cut up the field, but There was pursuit by Fantetti in the interior of the Detroit line, and that's the way it's supposed to be done. That outside man kicks the runner inside, and they're hoping for pursuit from the inside. Wes Hamilton now playing at right guard.
Hamilton was out last week with an ankle injury, and the rookie Brent Boyd had replaced him, but Hamilton's in today. Second down, 8 yards to go. Browns in trouble. He's thrown for a loss by James Hunter. Very fine play that time by Hunter. Hunter, their number 1 draft pick in 1976. He may be having his best year. He's one of 4 men in the NFC to have 5 interceptions at this stage of the season.
He's had a real good season. Last week he had a couple of mistakes that could have cost him the game against San Francisco. But other than that, it's been a superb year for James Hunter. That time, by the way, Ricky Young was wide open downfield with Fantetti trying to chase him into the end zone.
You see now they're going to come in to 5 defensive backs as Walt Williams comes in. Williams not starting today. They've started the rookie Wayne Smith, an 11th round draft pick from Purdue. Third down, 14 yards to go. Kramer. Robert Miller. Make that Sammy White. Correction, Sammy White making the catch. Now, did he get the first and goal? It looks like he did. From where that front stick is, and they got it to the 6-yard line, or did he? Did he make it or not?
I think he might be a little bit short.
Boy, is it close. Boy, fourth down coming up. Let's look at it again.
There is Kramer showing a little bit of his mobility, as you're going to see White down and out as Rashad carried the remainder backs deep. He juggles the ball, tries to... Now, see, there's the chance where if he had been a little bit more aware of the first down marker, he'd have put his shoulder forward and gone down rather than take that little dip step to the back.
Well, they're a yard short. Here we go, fourth down. Ball at the 7-yard line. Young and Brown in the backfield. I don't think he got it. Do you?
No, that's
he
close.
Did not. And that is a big play in the early going of this football game with 3:08 remaining in the first quarter of play. And you made a good point. Had Sammy White been aware of that first down stick, he wouldn't have tried to get cute. He would have tried to just dive forward. So on a 4th and 1, the Vikings don't get it. Detroit takes over at the 8.
Introducing a small wonder, the new Toyota Starlet. Born small to solve big problems. Born small to deliver more miles per gallon of gas than any other car, and designed to help beat higher maintenance costs. The very new Toyota Starlet. Born small. In fact, it just may be the first small wonder of the world.
Oh, what a feeling.
Starlet.
Toyota. Alcoa can't wait.
If you've ever wondered how something so big got off the ground, part of the answer is light, strong aluminum. Aluminum's high strength and light weight made modern aviation possible. Aluminum is important to most forms of transportation because taking the weight off planes and trucks, and now cars, saves fuel. Aluminum in transportation can be an energy saver today.
We can't wait for tomorrow. Alcoa can't wait.
Tonight, who shot JR?
I figured you did it.
I wanted to.
Nobody ever beats old JR.
Part 2 of the season premiere of Dallas, tonight.
With Johnny Morris, I'm Gary Bender. As the Detroit Lions on a 4th and 1 deny the Vikings a first down, and they take over at their own 8-yard line. Detroit looking for some field position as we have 3:08 left in this first quarter. No score. Dexter Bussey, Mark Mulaney's there. That's a couple of fine plays Mulaney's had in the early going of this game. Mulaney has had a difficult time with a groin, and was not sure how much he would play. They thought they'd go more with Doug Martin, their number 1 draft pick from Washington, but the way he's played a couple of times, they may have to keep him in there.
You can tell he doesn't like to be out of the lineup. He's playing like a man possessed. He got across that line of scrimmage, and the Lions are just having trouble moving the ball. As you look at the Steelers, 17-14 over the Bucs.
And the Cardinals lead Atlanta. Atlanta's been red hot with the Cardinals after that disappointing loss last week. The 49ers leading the Packers in Milwaukee 6-0. Second down now, 13 yards to go. Sims dangerously close to the end zone. Brings it out to the 9 with a bring up. Third down and just about 9 yards to go. Let's check some other scores here. The Browns lead the Colts. Cleveland coming off that Monday night win over Chicago. There's Billy Sims. This is a young man who already has broken the rookie rushing record for the Lions. He's after the team record set by Steve Owens, and he's going to get that. He might get it today.
He needs 139 yards to break Steve Owens' record of 1,035.
Third down, 9, as we come to the 2-minute mark of this first quarter. Danielson airing it out, trying to hit Leonard Thompson, and he got it. What a catch! Leonard Thompson with a remarkable catch at the midfield stripe. John Turner had coverage, and Johnny, is a wide receiver, you would appreciate how difficult it was to locate that football.
That came right over the top of his head. A 4-man rush, 1 blitz, and then Danielson just threw it up and watched the ball come over the most difficult angle. He puts his hands out there with a hand catch. That is really tough. A super catch by Leonard Thompson, who came up with a comment last week after the game that he didn't cut back because he hadn't signed a contract and he wasn't going to give it all. He gave his all on that one.
I think that's exactly right. A 41-yard gain to the 50-yard line, and that gets the Lions the field position they have been missing in the early going. Danielson intended for Jesse Thompson. That time, Nate Wright defending had coverage on it very well. So Danielson throwing from the goal line gets him out of a difficult situation. Look at this, would you? I can't believe the score.
28-14. I guess the Giants were bound to play a good game sooner or later. I think they won their opener, didn't they? And then they haven't won since.
That's right. They beat St. Louis through 5 touchdown passes. Phil Simms did, and they've lost 8 in a row since that time. Second down, 10 for the 50. Danielson. And the Detroit Lions with that 1.5 game lead over Tampa in the Central Division. Inside the ball has been fumbled, and Minnesota has recovered. Studwell running out of there with it, but it's been blown dead at the 48-yard line, make it the 47-yard line, and that is a big turnover in this football game. Let's look at it again. Simms just couldn't seem to hang on here. Looks like that was White that reached in and batted it away.
Our family has owned Oldsmobiles in the past, and we loved them. So I wrote Oldsmobile that, and they asked us to drive the 1981 Delta 88. What a family car. Comfort for all of us. And this standard V6 is a real miser. This is the family car that didn't forget the family. The new Delta 88.
We've had one built for you.
Wish I had an hour to tell you about it.
Oldsmobile.
Now, Zenith System 3 is more. The PRP circuit. For more picture detail. More picture sharpness. 25% more. 4 speakers for more sound. Built-in cable tuning for access to more channels. 105 channels. Zenith System 3. We're moving television into the future.
Next Saturday, see NASCAR's champion crowned at the LA Times 500, and the battle of the NFL cheerleaders continues. Next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
Checking scores. St. Louis now has added to their advantage, leading Atlanta 14-3. The Browns still leading the Colts 7-0. After a fumble by Billy Simms. He had 2 fumbles last week. Minnesota takes over throw 47. Kramer on first down. Ahmad Rashad, and they're going to give him the catch just at the 46-yard line of Detroit. Wayne Smith, the rookie from Purdue, trying to stay with Rashad, and that is a difficult assignment.
Almost impossible to cover unless you want to take a chance. The timing was perfect. Rashad went down the field, made his break. The ball was on its way. He caught it and stepped out of bounds. That's precision football.
7-yard pickup. Johnny, that fumble has to concern Detroit. They had 6 turnovers last week against San Francisco.
And Billy Simms fumbled twice in that game.
From the 46, second down and 3. Ricky Young and congestion, and Stan White on the attack. Also Bill Gay. That time it just didn't develop well as Detroit controlled the line of scrimmage, and they may have lost a yard on the play. It certainly didn't gain anything, so we come to a third down. And Kramer, who jammed his thumb, dislocated his ring finger, had a tough time last week taking the snap. So just before the start of last week's game, Steve Dills got the starting call. We thought he was going to get it today, and Johnny Morse will explain through the course of this game why Tommy Kramer started. Third down, 3 yards to go. You can start explaining anytime. Here's Kramer back, Rashad, and Wayne Smith made a fine play. That was headed to a completion, no question about it. And Smith got back and got a hand on it.
He certainly did. That was a zone where he was up for the short zone, came back to help Jimmy Allen, almost snagged it out of the air. And, you know, the more I think about it, I would guess that maybe Bud Grant said, this is such an important game for us that I'm going to go with my experienced quarterback.
I'll accept that. You know, I'll accept anything right now in that explanation. Here's Coleman to kick again. His first one a 37-yarder. Back deep is John Arnold. Hits it high. Arnold's going to let this one go out of bounds, and they're going to like this one. Minnesota. And Greg Coleman has kicked that ball out of bounds at the 7, possibly the 8-yard line. So Coleman, who started his career with Cincinnati, then went to Cleveland, and now kicking for the Minnesota Vikings, credited with a 34-yard kick, but more importantly, the placement is excellent, and Detroit's right back into that bad field position again.
The Lions haven't had good field position all day, except for the one play after they completed the long pass, and then, of course, they fumbled the ball, so they start from the 9.
41-yard pass completion, then the fumble, and Detroit from the 9-yard line. Scott split out. Also Leonard Thompson. Sims, Dexter Bussey, the running backs behind Gary Danielson. 49 seconds left in this first quarter. No score. This is Sims. Bussey with the lead block, and Sims gets a yard, and that's all.
Sims, the ball carrier.
The purple shirts of Minnesota reacting very well. You know, they're only 12th in the NFC against the rush, but they're playing much better than that today.
They certainly are. I noticed that Tom again is at right guard with Fowler at center. Russ Bollinger is not playing now, so
he's got an Achilles problem, Achilles tendon that bothered him, and that's just a continuing saga in Detroit. That offensive line, they've tried 5 different centers this year. They've moved everyone around. Homer Elias has moved from guard to tackle. Keith Dorney out for the year, the #1 draft pick out of Penn State. Inside handoff to Sims. Sims finds a little running room, but it's very, very begrudgingly given up as he's out to the 13-yard line. John Turner, Scott Stutwell combining on the tackle.
Did you notice the swarming type of defense that the Vikings have shown so far today? They are really showing some pursuit and swarming type of defense. You're going to see 5 men in on this tackle before it is over with, as Sims gets the most that he can out of it.
Simple evolution. After 9 years, the Honda Civic has grown a trunk and 2 more doors, plus a lot of other simple features you'd expect to find in a roomy and comfortable sedan. But because it's a Honda, you also get incredible gas mileage. The Honda Civic 4-door sedan, it's simple evolution.
Honda, we make it simple.
You take 1,000 hearts up here with you. Make them skip a beat. Then take them back down to Miller Time. Time for the best tasting beer you can find.
If you've got the time,
Miller High Life.
we've got the beer.
America's quality beer since 1855.
Miller tastes too good to hurry through. When it's time to relax, one beer stands clear. If you've got the time, we've got the beer. Miller beer.
The NFL on CBS. Today's game is sponsored by Honda. We're kicking off our season with an all-pro lineup of cars. Honda, we make it simple. And by the Miller Brewing Company, brewers of Miller High Life. If you've got the time, we've got the beer.
We start the second quarter. 3rd down 5 for Detroit. 6 defensive backs are in for Minnesota as they anticipate the pass from number 16, Gary Danielson. He crosses them up, but he doesn't fool them. Dexter Bussey. They're expecting the pass in Minnesota, and in particular, James White stayed home, and they read that as well as you can. Part of the crowd here. Very pleasant day for this time of the year here in Minnesota. I've been here where you didn't know if you're going to survive.
Warm, balmy, 42-degree weather. I expected to have my mittens on and everything. It's really actually pretty nice up here.
It is. Back to kick now. Splanini from the goal line. There he is out of Ohio State. Eddie Payton is back for the Minnesota Vikings. We've just started the second quarter. No score. Taking a lot of time on this play. Splanini hits it very low. Didn't get a lot of it. But he does get a bounce, and that's going to help Detroit as it moves inside the 40-yard line of Minnesota. So at the 39, the Vikings will set it up as Minnesota trying somehow to win this football game after losing earlier this year 27-7 and not wanting to be swept for the first time since '62.
And in this room, Ben Franklin penned the eternal truth: a penny saved is a penny earned.
Excuse me, at Shearson Loeb Rhodes, we don't agree.
Shearson Loeb Rhodes?
One of America's leading investment firms.
Claire.
No, this is important, Roger. With today's inflation, that penny might do better in a Shearson-managed investment program.
Yeah, but who can make sense out of a dollar these days?
The answer is Shearson.
Picard?
Oh.
When the question is money, the answer is Shearson.
This man leads the good life. He puts on his bow tie, he puts on his tuxedo, and then he puts on his Accord LX, our most luxurious Honda, with features like variable assist power steering, digital clock, and air conditioning as standard, with plush seats and deep pile carpeting. So, for people who lead the good life, the car that leads the simple life.
Honda, we make it simple.
43-year-old Monty Clark, all 6'6" of him in his third year as the head coach of the Detroit Lions, mapping some strategy with Gary Danielson. That last kick, Johnny, was 46 yards. It was not picturesque. The Vikings let it bounce and gave Detroit pretty good field position. From the 39, Minnesota and Tommy Kramer. No score in our game. Ted Brown, and Brown just across the 40, and that's all. Give him a couple of yards. There's big John Mendenhall, 64, getting up. He's been having a very difficult time with a foot injury. But what a welcome addition he's been to Detroit this year. We check other scores. Well, the Cowboys now have climbed within 7. 28-21. It just shows you can't relax. And the Bears are
look at that.
just pounding Washington. Washington last week losing to this Minnesota team. There's the Steelers now beating Tampa Bay. And, of course, that really means even more for this game because if Minnesota doesn't win and Tampa Bay gets beat, Detroit's in great shape. Here's Brown on a second down and 9. Up to the 45. Hit very hard, but he has a first down just short of the 50. Ted Brown on the pass, just short of the 50. First down for the Vikings.
Pretty good play by Minnesota. They got all the action going one way and threw the screen back out here. And you can see Huff and Swilly both get out in front of Ted Brown and look for a moment like it might go even further. As you see number 67, Swilly with his block. But there was a couple of pretty good tough Lions there in on the tackle. But they do get the first down.
That was Ken Fantetti, one of those that was in on the stop at the 49, just across the 49. Minnesota has it. And the 49ers, who just lost last week to Detroit 17-13, leading in Milwaukee. The Browns now lead the Colts 14-0. Baltimore, of course, play Detroit next week. Here's Ricky Young, and Ricky Young for 3 yards. You can again see the gang tackling by this Detroit team. Detroit came in here number 3 in the NFC overall defensively and number 3 against the rush. They've been allowing under 100 yards a game. Show you how effective they've been. And I think that's remarkable when you figure Doug English, their most valuable player a year ago, didn't report back, and now Woodcock is out. So the interior of that defense has had to be changed, and Monty Clark and their troops have been able to come up with a very, very fine, stiff forward wall.
And they're also number 1 in total offense.
Second down and 6. Kramer on a play action. And that's Ahmad Rashad, and that's a first down grab at the 37-yard line. Wayne Smith defending. Smith is going to have his hands full with this man. Rashad just makes it look so easy. What great footwork he has.
He has nice footwork. He has such speed that you're afraid to let him get behind you. That time Smith slipped as Rashad made his out move, and Weaver couldn't get deep enough, and Kramer put it right between the linebacker and the defensive back for another first down, Minnesota.
Rashad earlier this year had a career high 11 catches for 160 yards against Atlanta. He's now 3 for 25 today. First down, Ricky Young. And Young keeps pumping the legs inside the 35 to the 33-yard line. This Minnesota team has had a very weak ground game. They're 12th in the NFC. But last week, 201 yards, and they're doing a pretty good job today.
You'll notice that Young was so far back in the backfield. As you see the interior line play, they make their blocks, but by the time the running back gets there, Ricky Young, there's been a lot of Detroit Lions who have reacted off the block. So he took the ball so deep in the backfield that you've got to have timing on those blocks.
And so it comes to a 2nd down and 6. 11:15 to go until halftime. Sammy White in motion. A give to Ted Brown. And Brown is very close to the first down. Fantetti again in on the tackle for Detroit. Brown having a pretty good first half of play. And let's see if he got the first down. Looks like he's going to be short. About a half yard short, and that's all. Gary Cobb now comes in defensively. Charlie Weaver checks out for the Detroit Lions.
We're really seeing signs, Gary, that the Minnesota offensive line, they're getting healthy. People are getting well. Yuri was hurt for a while, and they've had some people, Hamilton was hurt, and they're starting to mesh and get it together. Anytime you rush for over 200 yards like they did last week, there's some signs.
They've had some very good draft picks that have had a lot of injury problems, and if they can be healthy, why not? 3rd down now, less than a yard to go. Ricky Young, and Young with a second effort got the first down. He initially did not appear to have it, but he was able to slide to the outside and pick up the first down. People bundled up here, but heck, this isn't even a challenge today. They usually come in here with face masks and snowmobile outfits and little libation, and here today it's a balmy Indian-type summer day.
I'm surprised they put their coats on. I saw some people outside in T-shirts out in the parking lot.
From the 26th, first down now for Minnesota. In a couple of years, the weather will be no factor here because Minnesota will be moving indoors. They have an indoor facility that's already underway in downtown Minneapolis. Here's Kramer back on first down. Baker putting on pressure, and he got him. Bubba Baker now with 7.5 sacks for the year. Hit Kramer, and that's going to happen sooner or later. You just can't keep Baker out of there the entire football game.
Well, looks like he might have hurt himself a little bit, or is he just so happy that he just can't help yelling? But anyway, he beat Steve Riley that time. He got to the outside. He must have hurt his hand.
Yes, he did. He's had a lot of trouble with that hand. He had a broken bone in the hand, and you can see he's really upset about it. He will come out. Tuanay will come in. Tom Tuanay, rookie out of Hawaii, a 9th-round draft pick. Look at him. He's going to hurt the other hand if he keeps doing that.
Well, he must be in some pain there.
2nd down, 17 after that sack by Baker. Kramer back, protection there this time. A shot to the 17-yard line. Ray Oldham caught him, but that will be just about a yard short of the first down.
Here's the previous play where he makes the sack on Kramer, and he must have got his arm underneath there. Yes, he did. Kramer actually fell on it with his back, and he must have had his arm and his wrist there twisted the wrong way and hurt his already previous injury.
Kramer probably felt that too, but he was up and around, ready to go. You see the sacks thus far. 3 tight ends now have come in for Minnesota. That means Bob Brewer, Joe Sensor, and Bob Tucker are in on this 3rd down, a yard to go. Kramer, 9 of 12 for 101 yards already in this game. You can see everybody in tight. He's going to throw. Kramer to Sensor. Sensor, the tight end, with a 1st and goal inside the 10-yard line. Joe Sensor out of Westchester State, a man who was on the injured reserve list all of last season with his 18th catch of this year. This guy was quite a basketball player in college.
And it was an interesting play. He reached out there with that one long arm and snared it one-handed with the fake. And there goes Kramer. He was looking downfield, and he couldn't find a receiver, so Sensor comes out. Watch that one hand. Look, Ma. Look at that. Great catch. And it's a first down.
Nothing to it, right?
That's right.
First and goal now at the 9-yard line. No score. 8:14 to go in this first half of play. They really like this Joe Sensor. Here's Ricky Young. Has a block from Hamilton, but it's not going to do anything. You see Bubba Baker back in there. Baker, Charlie Weaver, Wayne Smith. Hamilton kicked the man out, but the angle of pursuit by Detroit was more than adequate to stop that for no gain.
Yes, give some credit to Wayne Smith. He came up and challenged Hamilton, and then there was Weaver in on the tackle. As you see, Bubba Baker still smarting from that sore hand, but he is in the lineup and back in there playing.
6'6", a 245-pounder. There's a concern, Monty Clark. Boy, his team has had a battle. They've lost 3 of their last 5. They're 6-3, and a long ways from clinching this NFC Central Division title. 7.5 minutes to go. On a 2nd and goal from the 9, Kramer. A lot of faking going around, and he hits his man. Rashad had it for a moment. Rashad had it for an instant, but good coverage that time by James Hunter, and he couldn't hang on. Hunter, I'm just convinced, let's see, but I think the tackle jarred the ball loose.
Well, it's just the fake of the reverse, and it was the tackle because he did have it, but you've got to maintain possession all the way as a receiver to catch the ball. It's not like a running back running across the end zone and then fumbling. You've got to maintain possession all the way. Good play, good hard-nosed play by Hunter to force the ball loose.
A pair of 28s going after each other there in the end zone. 3rd and goal now from the 9-yard line. Rashad to the bottom of the screen. Sammy White split to the top. Young and Ted Brown, the running backs behind Kramer.
Blitz.
Kramer on 3rd down. Sammy White broken up that time by Oldham. Wayne Smith, he was behind Smith, but Ray Oldham, who had 2 interceptions in a game earlier against Minnesota, got back and looked like he may have hurt his elbow as he hit on the warning track area for baseball, and he's a little bit stunned.
And he threw this ball with nice touch. It's up and over, and it was really Olam who came over and saved the play because he did get behind Wayne Smith just slightly, and here comes Olam, but he had dropped it before Olam even hit him. But it was a good effort.
Dan Meyer now to attempt a field goal, a 27-yarder. Dan Meyer's 8 of 12. Holding is Steve Dills. The kick on the way by Dan Meyer, and the Minnesota Vikings have taken a 3-0 lead. Minnesota at the 7:17 mark as Dan Meyer with his 9th field goal, concluding that 52-yard drive.
At JCPenney Auto Centers, we won't give you the business because we want to keep your business.
They didn't sell me the JCPenney battery. They said the 4-year battery was powerful enough for my car. It was.
I thought I needed new shock absorbers. They told me my tires were too hard.
I came in for ordinary radials. I came out with new Mileage Maker XP all-season steel-belted radials. They steered me right.
JCPenney Auto Centers, we won't steer you wrong.
Before this station wagon became a station wagon, it had to be something a lot more. It had to be a Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes-Benz didn't invent the station wagon. They just raised it up to Mercedes-Benz standards. Mercedes-Benz, engineered like no other car in the world.
Ricky Schroeder is a boy caught in the middle between the father he loves so much and the mother who wants him back. John Voight and Faye Dunaway star in The Chant, Monday night.
Rick Dan Meyer, who just gave the Minnesota Vikings a 3-0 lead, kicking off. Rick Kane and Ken Callicutt back deep for the Detroit Lions. This will be Callicutt from the 10-yard line. From the 20. 25, he has some blockers, 30, 35, 40, fumble the football. And Fred McNeil is down there for Minnesota. Did he get it? He did. Callicutt, I want to see this one again. I don't know what made him lose the football. Didn't look like anybody was over there buying. Fred McNeil pounces on it. Another big turnover. And this is what's plagued Detroit the last couple of weeks. Robert Miller may have jarred the ball loose. Let's see what happened.
Okay, here goes Callicutt. He's carrying the ball on the inside. The best time to move that ball is get it over on the outside because he's facing the tacklers, and it was his own man that he ran into that jarred the ball loose. As Fred McNeil, number 54, is right there, and he says, I've got it. He's got it, and he takes it. First down, Minnesota.
At the 40-yard line in Detroit. Turnover number 2 against the Lions. Here comes Ted Brown. Inside the 40 to the 36-yard line, a gain of 4. Fantetti over to make the stop. Well,
Weaver on the tackle.
you can't have the turnovers. Detroit got away with it last week, 6 of them. But they had to just almost hold their breath at the last as a missed pass. And we have a man shaken up. That's Ricky Young. Ricky Young down. Looks like a leg. This is a man they can ill afford to lose. He has 255 catches in the last 4 years. That's the most in the NFL.
Now comes Miller time. The flag is dropped, the race is a memory. And now you're coasting into the best tasting beer you can find. Miller High Life, America's quality beer since 1855.
If you got the time, if you got the time, you got the beer, if you got the time.
Hi, my name's Jerry.
We're identical twins. Well, almost.
I like this 1981 Toyota truck because it's tough.
I like this 1981 Toyota truck because it's low price.
She always likes a bargain.
And he always likes to be tough.
Look, I see my sister's point. For the money, this truck is hard to beat.
And I see my brother's point. A truck should be tough, like a Toyota.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. Macho.
Oh, what a feeling.
Tough deal.
Toyota.
Well, it looks like Ricky Young's going to be all right. He's come out of the ball game. Robert Miller has replaced him, number 35. 2nd down, 6 for Minnesota. They lead it 3-0. 6.5 minutes to go until halftime. There's a give to Miller. He just checked in. He's being chased by Fantetti and also Charlie Weaver and Wayne Smith.
Robert Miller, the ball carrier.
And he's inside the 35 to the 34. It'll bring up 3rd down, still 4 yards to go. And the Cardinals have added 3 points. 17-3.
Gain of 3.
49ers over the Packers. San Francisco, as we mentioned, they should have beaten this Detroit team. According to all reports, Charlie Young had a real shot at catching a game-winning pass with seconds left.
33.
Interesting fact, Gary, no penalties so far in this game.
But 2 turnovers, which Detroit would just as soon not have. Here's Kramer back on 3rd down, a long 3. He hits Miller, and Miller is hit immediately by Hunter. Hunter is playing an inspired football game in this first half of play. Just remarkable guy. The number 1 draft pick in 76, 5 interceptions. Last year he had 3. He's had 18 in his first 4 years. And in 76 he had 7 interceptions. And so, on a 4th down, Greg Coleman will come in and kick. And right now the Lions don't have anybody back for this kick.
They're figuring they're not going to kick, or they're just going to let it go and go into the end zone or take their chances. They're not going to let the Vikings cross them up and get a first down on them here.
And so, let's see what happens. He's going to hit and make it into the end zone for the touchback. So the Lions played it very coyly that time and got away with it as Terry LeCount couldn't get down there quick enough to down the ball. It's a 37-yard kick. And at the 20-yard line, the Detroit Lions, trailing 3-0 in this game, will set it up. They have 5:07.
Introducing the revolutionary twin action shaving system, engineered to outperform twin blades. The new Norelco Rotatract razor. Inside 3 floating heads, Rotatract works like twin blades to grip hair. Raise it up, then razor it off, hundreds of times a second, for a shave that's twin blade close, without a nick or cut. The new twin action Norelco Rotatract razor. Twin blade closeness, but no gotcha.
I looked at Datsun 280ZX and Porsche 924 because I wanted a refined sports car. Then I looked at and drove this new Mazda RX-7, and that's all it took.
Just one look. That's all it took. Yeah, just one look. That's all it took.
The Mazda RX-7 keeps getting better. Even the mileage is 24% better than last year. And the more I looked, the more I liked the looks of its price.
The more you look, the more you like.
Next Saturday, the LA Times 500 roars onto the CBS Sports Spectacular, and the battle of the NFL cheerleaders continues. Next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
So we mentioned beautiful weather here, just short sleeve weather. As again, Detroit with not the real great field position from the 20-yard line, coming out trailing 3-0. Billy Sims, 25, picks up 7 to the 27-yard line. To show you the field position of this game, Johnny Morris, the first quarter, Detroit had the ball at the 23, the 12, the 18, and 19. Now they start from their own 20. Mark Mullaney on that last tackle.
And let's watch the pulling guard, Tommy Ginn, throw a block on Hannon right there, number 45, which was a key block. Hannon still kind of got an arm in on the tackle, and finally the rest of the Vikings come in, but Billy Sims on his best run, I think, of this game so far.
And that's a gain of 9. Bud Grant, stoic look. Second down, 1 for Detroit. Freddie Scott in motion. Danielson, who can run around very well. To Scott, what a catch. What a catch by Scott for the first down at the 41-yard line. Boy, excellent effort on his part. Kurt Knopf making the tackle for the Minnesota Vikings.
That was a super catch. It was an ad-lib pattern because you saw Danielson get forced out of the pocket, almost ran the ball. And notice how Scott went in on motion, then back out on his motion. And here comes the blitz as McNeil came inside. That forced Danielson outside. Almost ran. Then he spotted him right there. And watch this classic grab. Those are the toughest kind. Not a big game, but a key catch.
2 catches now for Scott for 21 yards. First down. Danielson to Leonard Thompson. Thompson to the 45. Thompson to the 50. And that'll be another first down for Detroit. Lions now opening up their attack. Nate Wright making the tackle for Minnesota. And the Detroit Lions with the number 1 ranked offense in the NFC now starting to put everything together.
That was the old wide receiver screen. And that time his line, it developed so fast that even the lineman couldn't get out there quick enough so that he could peel behind him. He did, but he got into a little traffic.
Danielson, he has up front a different look on that line. He has Elias playing right tackle after starting at left guard most of the year. Danielson back, has to get rid of it in a hurry. Jesse Thompson, did he catch it? He didn't even see the football. He couldn't because Danielson was having to throw the ball before he wanted to. Thompson looked and the ball was in his hands before he saw it. This is a remarkable play. Let's look at it again.
The blitz was on. Here came Blair right there, and he had to throw it, and he turns, and there was the ball. And it was just instinct that he caught the ball, got his hands on it, and did he hang on? It looks like he did.
Nate Wright defending, but John, that is instinct. That's the only way you can analyze that. They're just short of the first down. Second down, less than a yard to go. Right now, Danielson of the troops looking very sharp. Here's Dexter Bussey. He gets away from Holloway. Bussey with a first down to the 32-yard line of Minnesota. That makes that running game much more effective when you come out throwing like they have. Now, Fred McNeil over on the tackle for Minnesota. Thing about Danielson that I like, and he's really been an underrated quarterback in a lot of instances. He's only thrown 6 interceptions this year, but it's his ability to really run around back there to create all kinds of problems for the defense. The 2-minute warning is here. We'll come back. Detroit has a first down at the 32.
When you've got to rely on your vehicles, rely on AC Delco. AC fire ring spark plugs, AC filters, Delco shocks, and a battery even tougher than the Freedom. The maintenance-free Delco Freedom 2 battery with more efficient starting power. For over 50 years, hard-working people have relied on AC Delco parts for just about anything that moves.
AC Delco working hard for you.
And right now, AC Delco is making it possible for you to get the Delco Freedom 2 battery on sale at participating outlets.
Simple evolution. After 9 years, the Honda Civic has grown a trunk and 2 more doors, plus a lot of other simple features you'd expect to find in a roomy and comfortable sedan. But because it's a Honda, you also get incredible gas mileage. The Honda Civic.
They have it first down at the 32 of Minnesota as the 2-minute warning has just been executed here. Danielson with only 6 interceptions this year. That's the lowest among starting quarterbacks. He came in here with 1,828 yards in passing. Bussey, Sims, the running backs behind him. And a mishandled snap from center, and Minnesota has it. That's the 3rd turnover in this game against the Lions. And Monty Clark must be pulling his hair out now.
Doug Sutherland on the recovery.
Well, the Lions have gone through a couple of games. They had, 6 or 7 turnovers last week, and that was just a simple miscue between Fowler and Danielson. Whether it came Looked like Danielson started to pull out before he had the ball, and it was Sutherland, I believe, that made the recovery for Minnesota. So that stopped Detroit's really only drive of the game.
Did you see Billy Sims go after that ball? He fired out. Well, that's maybe one of the problems Minnesota's had with so many changes at center. There's a different center exchange. Plagues them there. This is Ted Brown. Brown to the 40. He may go. 20, 15, 10, touchdown.
That's the way you have to do it when you hit those backs. You hit them in stride. He got Ted Brown in full stride out of the backfield, and then you saw the speed that he has. Nobody on Detroit could catch him. James Hunter made a dive at the last instant. Let's watch Ted Brown. The top of your screen, he circles out, clears the linebackers. Kramer hit him on the go, and then he turned it on. No way the linebacker's going to catch him. It was Hunter had the only chance, and Hunter's got good speed, but Ted Brown's got great speed too. He hung on, avoided the tackle, and went into the end zone, and it's going to be 10-0 Minnesota, assuming they make the extra point.
A 67-yard play, and Brown, as Johnny just mentioned, showed that he can run. Point after attempt, Dan Meyer. Boy, what a reversal in this game. The Lions looked like they might be headed in to score. They fumble the ball, and boom, just like that, it goes 67 yards the other way. Flags everywhere on this one. Brown, as you might recall in the opening of our show, we had a play very similar to that against Washington where he had been hit over the middle, but this one went even further and all the way for 6 points. Illegal procedure. I think that's the first penalty of the game, isn't it? I don't believe we've had a penalty in this game.
I think that's it. I think maybe the right guard might have moved too soon for Minnesota on that play.
Or maybe Dennis Swilley, who was the man lined up there. Anyway, let's listen.
Ball start. Offense.
Well, he didn't indicate who, just the whole offense. So that'll be a 5-yard penalty.
Each one of them gets an 11th of a penalty.
I think that's one time they just soon not individually find out as far as that offensive line is concerned. This will be the same as a 25-yard field goal attempt now on this point after. Dills to hold. Dan Meyer's kick is up, and Dan Meyer has given Minnesota a 10-0 lead. Well, after that last touchdown, Kramer now is 12 of 17 for 172 yards.
There it is. Kramer sees him all the way. He clears the linebackers, and that was a key. He hit him right on the numbers, didn't even have to break stride. And I'm surprised that Hunter didn't catch him here because Brown had expended a lot of energy to get down this far, and here comes Hunter, who's got a lot of speed. Can't quite get him.
That was the question I asked of the Vikings. Could Brown turn the corner? Does he have good enough speed? And I think that indicates to me he does. He played on kind of a leg and a half last year. He had a knee difficulty. And boy, this year he's been a different football player. The #1 draft pick a year ago from North Carolina State.
Number 31, Calicut.
Look at this next week. Some excellent games coming up. Philadelphia, Washington, St. Louis, and Dallas. As we head to the 11th week of this season. Boy, it's rolling along in a hurry, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Be sure to check the local listings to see which game will be in your area. As now Dan Meyer from the 35 will be kicking off. Dan Meyer's been busy in this first half. Calicut and Kane go back. Dan Meyer in this game has kicked a 27-yard field goal and added the point after. Minnesota with a 10-0 lead, but remember one thing. Detroit is a second-half ball club, especially a fourth-quarter ball club. Dan Meyer, and it's going to be Calicut again. He fumbled the last one, and he's going to fumble this one. He gets on it, and he hammered at the 15-yard line. Ken Calicut having a nightmare out there as far as kickoffs are concerned. Coming down there was Dennis Johnson, a rookie from USC, a linebacker, and he made him pay for this mishandled punt or kickoff.
There it is right there. No reason to drop that one, and he does get the handle on it. He was lucky because they were steaming down there, and it's going to be first down Detroit. Bad field position once again, 16-yard line.
That's interesting, isn't it? Haven't lost a game this season. They've led at halftime, and they lead now 10-0. From the 16, Danielson gets it out to Dexter Bussey, has a block to the 20, 25, and he'll bring it out to the 27-yard line with 1:34 left in this half. Kurt Knopf over there, the former Kansas standout. You can see now they're ready to go without a huddle. A first down out to the 27. Danielson ready to go again. A minute 20 left in the first half. Freddie Scott, can he stay in? Can't make the catch and stay in and do both at the same time. That'll stop the clock with 1:16. Bobby Bryant, the 36-year-old veteran in that right cornerback spot, playing with that shoulder harness, defending on the play. Bobby Bryant, one of the oldsters on this club, along with Ron Yeri. But, Johnny, they've really gotten rid of a lot of older guys. Marshall, Paul Krause, Carl Eller. One guy they shouldn't have gotten rid of was Alan Page.
That's right. He's been super for Chicago.
Second down, 10. Danielson stepping up as Mulaney goes by him, tries to hit Dexter Bussey. That was Keith Nord, 49, defending on the play at the 39-yard line. So it's a third down. Mulaney that time putting some pretty good pressure on. We weren't real sure about Mulaney in this game, how much he would play. We thought that Doug Martin would play more because Martin had an excellent game last week. But Mulaney's in there, and Bud Grant has confounded all the experts as to who was going to play where and at what time.
The Vikings have all those defensive backs in there now. It's going to be pretty tough to complete anything downfield. What they got to try and do is get somebody to split the seam, somebody in stride coming across the field.
A third down. 10 yards to go. Scott, Jesse Thompson, flanked out. Danielson tries to hit Bussey again, and the same coverage by Keith Nord. That's twice now. They've tried to hit Bussey coming across the middle. You see the time remaining, 1:07. So Skladany will kick, and the Vikings are thinking, I'm sure they'd like to get at least a crack at a field goal with 1:07 left.
It was the Vikings who called timeout. That's a lot of time.
They still have 2 timeouts remaining. Monty Clark probably just shaking his head right now, thinking about that fumble at the 32, and then all of a sudden a 67-yard pass run for the touchdown. And so Minnesota thinking, obviously, that they will at least get a field goal opportunity in this remaining time, calling a timeout, and they're huddled on the far sideline with Coach Bud Grant. I tell you, this Minnesota team has had some success in this division, haven't they? 10 of 11 years they won the title, 6 in a row until last year.
And you know, as Matt Blair called that timeout, it was an incomplete pass, so the clock would have stopped. He probably just forgot in the excitement of the motion of the game, but he didn't really need to call a timeout, and that one timeout could end up costing him getting a score here in this last minute of the game.
Look at little Eddie Payton, 31. He's only 5'6". The brother Walter. Walter must have eaten a little bit better. He got more of his share of the meal at home, I guess.
Yeah, but little Eddie does okay. He has a tendency sometimes to catch those punts and dipsy-do around and run backwards trying to break it, and he gets caught for some losses. But on this one, I think the Vikings will try and the Lions will try and prevent the punt block, and Eddie Payton should have some room to run.
10 men jumping around. Was Payton the single safety? Skladany, you got to be very quick getting rid of this one. Now the Lions are jumping around. A lot of jumping around on both sides here at the 1:07 mark. Here comes a rush. Skladany hit a beauty. He really got into that one. Payton goes back at the 21-yard line. He gets a block from Turner. He is going to go down at the 25-yard line. Skladany, kicking under pressure, booted that ball 50 yards that time.
And it was a line shot, as you see the Vikings trying to go for the punt block as they come a-storming. But Skladany got the ball off, a line drive shot, and did you notice the way Eddie Payton was carrying that ball after he caught it? Like a loaf of bread way out. Got to be careful. Here's another look at it from behind. Nope.
That was a quick look.
Yeah, that was a quick look.
From the 25-yard line, first down, 55 seconds. That kick making it very difficult now for Minnesota to get into that field goal range. Here's Kramer giving off to Ted Brown. Brown having Weaver after him, Gay after him. He got back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all. And so the time now with 46, and timeout going to be called by Minnesota.
Bill Gay on the tackle.
Both teams have gone with pretty basic defenses, mostly four-man fronts.
I stand corrected. That's the Lions that called the timeout.
Timeout. Detroit, number 1.
That's their first timeout.
Well, the Lions says the Vikings made a mistake on that timeout. Will return the favor for them, maybe. They must figure they can stop, and why they would call a timeout, I don't know. With 46, is it? 46 seconds to go?
Well, they figured they're going to hold him, I guess, as 2nd down, 10 coming up for Minnesota. You know, we were talking about the fact Detroit is such an excellent second-half ball club. You know, in the first 4 games this year, Detroit outscored their opponents 67-0. And then, coming up to the date this year, Detroit has outscored their opponents in the 4th quarter 105-30. So this 10-0 lead by Minnesota is a very precarious lead if history has anything to say through the first 9 weeks of the season.
At the same time, the Vikings have had a history this year of giving up a lot of points in the 4th quarter. They've given up 75 points and scored only 39. But that's only tendencies. It doesn't mean it's necessarily going to happen today.
The great unknowns. That's some of the collegiate football players throughout the country at halftime. Brent Musburger will have a report on that. We'll keep you updated on the rest of the action in the National Football League. Kramer 12 of 17, 172 yards, wanting to throw on 2nd and 10. Ted Brown again, and Brown having a big first half. First down at the 40-yard line. The clock running now with 36 seconds. The Vikings with 2 timeouts remaining, and they're going to use one of them now, I believe, and do. So they have 1 left. So now Detroit must wonder why they called their timeout. Strategy not exactly working out here as far as the timeouts are concerned. As Kramer to the far sideline. Brown in this game, Johnny, has 4 catches now for 124 yards. Of course, that big one, the 67-yard touchdown. He's also carried the ball 7 times for 17 yards.
And he had some big ones last week as we look at Tommy Kramer over there on the sidelines. And it looks like so far Bud Grant was a genius in starting Tommy Kramer. Of course, who knows what Steve Dills would have done, but
I wish he'd check with us next time, don't you?
That's right.
Start a quarterback. Kramer coming back. Monty Clark just hoping to kill the remaining 32 seconds, regroup forces at halftime. He said it very well. He said, when we started having some success after winning those first 4 games, we started to draw a lot of attention to ourselves. As an end result, teams are playing better football against this Detroit club. So, boy, he's doing a marvelous job this year of keeping this Detroit machine going. 6-3 after winning only 2 games last year. I'll tell you, he did a heck of a job last year when they lost only 2. He kept everybody happy, and that's tough to do.
They're happier than they are this year.
That's right. First down from the 40. Kramer on the first down, stepping up. He tries to hit Ricky Young, and that will stop the clock with 27 seconds. You don't see Young drop very many of those. Last year, this guy caught 72 passes. He had a club record 88 catches in 1978. And you know, Johnny, you had a year that I think is remarkable. When you played with the Chicago Bears, you had 93 catches in 64, and that's before it was fashionable to catch that many.
Well, that's right. It was just one of those years everything went right. I had a tight end named Mike Ditka who helped take a lot of pressure off me.
How many did he catch that year?
He caught 78.
Is that a record for 2?
Yes.
One team? 3rd down. 2nd down. Correction. 10. Kramer over the middle. Censor the intended receiver at the 50-yard line, and now it is a 3rd down. Charlie Weaver defending on the play.
Weaver defending.
Dave Purifoy put on some pretty good pressure from that left defensive end spot. There's Weaver. He's the elder statesman on this club. He's the veteran out of USC. And in the words of Monty Clark, playing as well as he's ever played.
And he's the only man that they have on the team that's been in the league for 10 years, Charlie Weaver. Whereas if you look at the Vikings, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players with 10 years or more experience.
But as we mentioned earlier, not near as long in the tooth as they used to be. White, the count, Rashad, 3 wide receivers, 3rd down, 10 from the 40. There's your time. You see it in the upper right-hand portion. Kramer's down by Baker. Baker with his 2nd sack of the day. Boy, that's the kind of situation Baker likes, doesn't he? 3rd down, 10. They know you're going to throw. And Bubba Baker now with 2 sacks and now with 8.5 for the year. And the Lions now will ask for a timeout. They have 1 remaining. Let's go back and look at the sack.
Steve Riley, number 78, will be the blocker. And I don't think things worked out too well for him. Here he is. You see him right here at the bottom of your screen. He just got that slap to the side, and he just threw him aside. Tremendous strength by Baker as he just tossed Riley aside.
Like he was bulldogging a steer that time. There's a ground level shot of it.
It looked like he was going to make an outside rush right there, and then he 1, to the left hand, which is legal as long as he doesn't hit him in the head, and he goes for the sack. Good play by Bubba Baker.
Boy, that shows how strong he is, doesn't it, the way he just batted Riley aside?
You know, that's a lot of poundings you're pushing to the side. How much does Riley weigh, about 270?
Well, they say 253, but he's 6'6". Riley's the guy that they traded the start of the year to the New Orleans Saints. Then he didn't pass his physical, so they owe New Orleans a couple of draft picks next year, number 3 and a number 5 for him. Back to kick with 17 seconds is Coleman. Arnold back deep. Detroit, you know, is going to really come after this one. 10 men lined up. There's a end zone shot. You see what Coleman has to face. That's Jeff Seaman, 50, the man back blocking. Low snap. Coleman hits it. Beauty. He got all of that one. Arnold at the 16-yard line. 20. And it's knocked out loose, and it's fumbled, and Minnesota has it again. The Vikings have recovered again. It's incredible with 4 seconds left. A 51-yard kick by Coleman, but Arnold had the ball jarred loose. Minnesota has recovered. Let's look at it again.
A nice, long, booming kick, and the Lions are just in the old fumbleitis mood the last couple or 3 games. They just can't hang on to the ball. And that the ball was actually jarred loose by number 56. I think it was David Huffman coming down there. He has the ball fairly neatly tucked away, it seems like, but there was a hand right through there, and they're going to have a chance for a field goal.
Look at that, 4 turnovers. This will be a 40-yard field goal attempt by Dan Meyer. Dan Meyer already hit one from 27. Last play of this first half. Snap, the kick by Dan Meyer, and it's no good. It's no good. So the turnover does not cost the Detroit Lions any points.
And that one little timeout that the Lions called could have cost them the 3 points there.
That really would have added insult to injury had the Vikings gotten that field goal. The 4 turnovers in this game. Detroit had 6 last week. They were able to pull out the victory, but they're going to have to come from behind once again. We'll have scores and highlights throughout the National Football League at halftime. As we keep you updated, we've had some real surprises developing in the East. Here's one of them right now. Dallas and the Giants are deadlocked now, 28 all. The Giants had 21 points in that second quarter. The Bears still beating the Redskins 35-7.
Washington finally got on the board, but it's going to be a long year for Jack Pardee and company.
And look at this. The Steelers over Tampa Bay 24-14, meaning that right now at this particular time, they are now, 2.5 behind, pending the outcome of this game today.
That's right.
Detroit. And the Cardinals beating Atlanta. And that's a real shock. However, I will say this, St. Louis has played much, much better than their record indicates.
Well, they gave Dallas a good game last week, and the week before that, they really stomped all over the Colts.
And this score, the Packers coming back against the 49ers. San Francisco, after winning their first 3, has run into some difficulty, a lot of injuries, but they have played some very tough football, as evidenced by last week when they pushed Detroit down to the last seconds of the game. And the Browns, boy, I like that Cleveland team. They're really rolling.
They could be 7-3, and they're tied with Houston for first place in the AFC Central Division. So the Browns, who beat the Bears last week, are doing very well this year.
And, of course, that will put a lot of pressure on Houston, who plays Monday night against New England. So Cleveland with a 21-6 lead, trying to win their 5th in a row. We have a 10-0 score here at halftime at the Met in Bloomington.
In this country, winter isn't a season. It's a warning, telling you it's time to move down from the cold, down toward a place called Miller Time, and the best tasting beer you can find.
When it's time to relax, one beer stands clear.
Miller High Life.
If you've got the time, we've got the beer. Miller Beer.
Allstate challenges you. Find your homeowner's insurance policy, then bring it in and compare.
I personally accept Allstate's challenge.
Because all homeowners insurance is not alike. Allstate could show you ways to get more for your money.
Allstate's thrown us a challenge. Keep looking.
Allstate homeowners insurance could give you more value for the money. So find your policy and bring it in.
I found it.
You found it? You're in good hands with Allstate. That's a promise.
An important message from Presto. More and more of today's cars, K-cars, X-bodies, most imports, have lightweight aluminum parts in their cooling systems. These vital engine parts need aluminum antifreeze protection. Put in Prestone 2, and you've got it. Prestone has a patented silicone silicate formula that forms a tough protective barrier to lock out rust and aluminum corrosion. For aluminum, for all metals, Prestone 2. No wonder we're number one.
Tonight on Archie Bunker's Place, can a fast-talking real estate agent convince Archie to sell up and move on? Next, it's the season premiere of One Day at a Time. Barbara loses her temper when her college professor makes advances. Then on Alice, Mel's bright idea puts him and the girls in the doghouse.
We're prisoners.
And on the Jeffersons, everyone's hot for Hawaii except George.
Why ain't they clean?
Then who shot J.R.? The mystery continues to unfold on part 2 of the season premiere of Dallas. Comedy and mystery tonight.
Big plays there. 10-0, our score here at the Met in Bloomington. The great unknowns. Some of the outstanding football players at some of the lesser-known places. For a report on that, let's go to Brent Musburger.
Welcome back to the NFL Today in New York. And you know, a couple of weeks ago, we showed you likely Heisman Trophy candidates. And today, we're going to look at some of the great unknowns. Now, these are a handful of the best players you probably never heard of who are likely to go very high in the NFL draft to clubs who are warmed by the thought that history sometimes repeats itself.
Few NFL clubs took notice when this young man graduated from SMU in 1954. But when he retired from the NFL, everyone knew all about Raymond Berry. In 1961, the Los Angeles Rams drafted this prospect from obscurity in South Carolina. He soon was appointed the Secretary of Defense, David Deacon Jones. But perhaps the greatest success story involving an unknown player centered on this 1954 University of Louisville star. The hope of finding another Johnny Unitas excites men like Gil Brandt of the Dallas Cowboys.
As a scout, there's a great deal of self-satisfaction when you can find players at smaller schools that go on to star.
The stars are shining ever so brightly in the small college ranks this year, like Sam Green, wide receiver for the University of Nevada at Las Vegas. He's the owner of a great pair of hands, and he has that big play ability.
He's a John Jefferson type of receiver, and this is what everybody's looking for in our wide-open game today.
There's no such thing as too many great running backs. And number 31, Clifford Chapman, demands respect. He has rushed for better than 3,000 yards in his career at Central State University in Edmond, Oklahoma.
The amazing thing about Clifford Chapman is he's almost 6'2", 225 pounds, and he holds the NAI record for the 100-meter dash in his area.
On defense, remember the name of Don Washington, a Texas A&I safety. He's picked off 17 passes in his college career.
He's big, he's fast, and he has a unique ability of being able to close on a receiver. He will be one of the first defensive backs taken in the country come May when the draft is held.
But perhaps the first unknown to be drafted this year will be Portland State's record-setting quarterback.
Neil Lomax undoubtedly will be the surprise of the draft. He is big, he's strong, he's smart, he's got mobility. He reminds me a lot of Roger Staubach. He has the ability to make a team a contender within a few years. He has great ability for a small college player.
And Irv Neal had quite a night for Portland State.
Quite a night. He threw for 311 yards, 8 touchdowns, ran for 1 more, and Portland State defeated Delaware 105-0.
And he only completed 16 passes against Delaware State. And as Irv said, 8 of them for touchdowns. Now let's send you back to the stadium and the game you're enjoying on CBS.
Stay tuned as the NFL Today continues after this word from your local station.
Enos, he's moving up from Hazard County, so look out, L.A.
Can drive in the city. Buckle up now.
Enos, premiering Wednesday at 8, 7 Central and Mountain.
This is CBS.
10-0 our score here. Minnesota leading the Detroit Lions. And I'll tell you one thing, it is getting a lot colder here in Metropolitan Stadium, Bloomington. Did you notice?
Yes, I found my warm jacket, too.
It started out at 42 degrees at kickoff, but it isn't even close to that right now. This is really an interesting day in the National Football League. You've seen some of the scores that we've been putting on the screen throughout the course of the day, but I thought we'd background some of this and give you an idea of what's happening. Big plays. Let's look first at Dallas and the New York Giants. And Johnny, you talk about a big play. Danny White hit Ron Spring for a 58-yard touchdown in that game. And Phil Simms went to Ernest Gray for a 23-yarder. Newhouse with a 29-yard run. But this is a game you're interested in. Look at Chicago and Washington. Peyton, 51 yards. Look what Vince Evans has done.
Yes, he's had a couple of long touchdown passes. One to James Scott for 40, one to Peyton for 54, another one to Scott for 12. However, I understand Washington has come back with 2 touchdowns, but the Bears still lead it 35-14.
And then in the game between Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay, Doug Williams tossed a 26-yard touchdown pass, and Terry Bradshaw hit Lynn Swann with a 23-yarder in that football game, with Pittsburgh leading at 24-21 now.
Well, that's a big one for both teams.
And then in a game that's been a surprise, I think most people would feel, is Atlanta getting beat by St. Louis. And one of the reasons, Jim Hart, he's tossed a 38-yard touchdown pass and a 50-yard touchdown pass to Pat Tilley, who's just having a super year.
And Otis Anderson got himself a touchdown on an 8-yard run, so the Cardinals playing some pretty good football. They got such a slow start. That really hurt them.
And now Green Bay, who started out slowly, trailing 13-0, in this game now trailing 13-10. DeBerg hit Freddie Solomon. Now Steve DeBerg evidently starting, as that's been kind of a change of quarterback.
It's been back and forth. And this is a big game for the Packers because they were 3-5-1. They could be 4-5-1 and still be in it if they win this game.
Well, the 49ers had a PAT, a point after block, which could be a big one before that game was over. Now, Cleveland, coming off of that impressive win Monday over Chicago, has Charles White scoring on a 5-yard run, but Brian Sipe, what a year he's having. He hit Dave Logan for a 39-yard touchdown.
In fact, Charles White has 2 5-yard runs, so he's doing okay. The former, didn't he win the Heisman Trophy a couple of years ago?
Heisman Trophy winner last year from USC.
Yeah.
Billy Simms 2 years ago. We want you to see what big plays we've had. And, of course, right here we had some big plays. The big story, as far as I'm concerned, is Detroit with the 4 turnovers.
That's right. They had a lot of turnovers last week. They just have been plagued by them. They can't seem, you know how sometimes you get yourself in a rut and they can't seem to get out of it. And they're going to have to get out of it or they're going to lose to the Vikings today.
6 turnovers last week, 4 already here. We'll be back with more of the halftime in just a moment.
Harry, you've been gone for hours. Didn't they have a muffler for your car?
I should have gone to Midas.
Did you get a guarantee this time?
I should have gone to Midas.
So how much did you spend?
I should have gone to Midas.
Before you go anywhere else for a muffler, come to Midas, and you won't go anywhere else.
So tell me, Harry, how come you didn't go to Midas?
It pays to Midasize.
Well, looks like you lead a comfortable life.
I do okay.
Now, let me tell you something. You do better in comfortable clothes. Like Hager Magic Stretch.
Hey, a stretch waistband.
Special stretch woven fabric, too.
Nice.
And Hager has lots of great looks that won't squeeze your wallet. In Hager Magic Stretch, you'll feel as good as you look.
What could be better?
How about this?
Your car, sir. My car? My car?
Sometimes it seems to me that if you're lucky enough to be born with a sound mind and strong body, you have an obligation to help others not so lucky. I'm Freddie Scott of the Detroit Lions. This is my son, Freddie II. We're visiting the Detroit Institute for Children. It's supported by the United Way. I'm studying to be an orthopedic surgeon, and someday, when my football days are over, I may be working with children like these. When you see these little children struggling to overcome their handicaps, well, it can bring tears to your eyes. But I feel good in knowing that any child can get the professional help that's needed. These staff members and volunteers make it possible. That's the spirit of United Way. It works here in Detroit. Thanks to you, it works for all of us. United Way.
The preceding message was furnished as a public service by the National Football League. The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Ford and your local Ford dealer, who invite you to test drive the new 1981 Ford cars and trucks. Sylvania, makers of Super Set Color TV and a complete line of home entertainment products. And by Allstate Insurance Companies. You're in good hands with Allstate.
In that first half of play, Ted Brown had to be the central figure as far as the Minnesota Vikings were concerned. He caught in this first half 5 passes for 118 yards, but one of the big plays was this little shovel that went for 34 yards.
That's right. That is not considered a run. It's considered a pass. And Brown just turned on the speed, had a whole bunch of Vikings. In fact, Rashad got in his way. Brown says, I'm going on anyway, and Jimmy Allen made the tackle, but Ted Brown has really been the difference, and the difference in the overall statistics in this game center around this one play. The Vikings have 173 yards to 95 in passing over Detroit, and 67 of them came on this pass to Ted Brown over the middle in stride, and he took it in for the touchdown, a 67-yard romp, and that has been the difference as far as yardage in this game, and Ted Brown's been the man.
He has been the man, showing amazing speed on that play as he was able to get away from James Hunter. There's our score, 10-0. And there you see the time and possession. Minnesota had the advantage there. But as you mentioned, that 67-yard pass play really changing not only the total yards, but of course the passing yards in this game.
The rushing yards is only 30 for Detroit in the first half and 31 for Minnesota, so not much of a rushing game for either team.
And one stat we didn't put up is 4 turnovers by the Detroit Lions. Back deep, Eddie Payton, and Payton's going to bring it out for the Minnesota Vikings. He's out to the 15, to the 17-yard line. From the 17 now. Minnesota with the lead and with a chance with a win here today to pull even with a 5-5 record and really put this Central Division race up for grabs. Tampa Bay losing today, and of course Minnesota, I'm sure, very much aware of that. You know, we said it, temperature at kickoff was 42. They say it's only 41. I don't believe that. It's got to be colder than 1 degree.
Somebody's putting a spoof on us on that one because it's much colder. But those players down on the field, they don't realize it because their bodies are warm. It's the people in the stands who suffer.
And the broadcasters. From the 17-yard line now. First down, Minnesota. Tommy Kramer. Far side, intended for Ricky Young. Behind him, they haven't been able to get that play going. That's a couple of times the Kramer has thrown the ball behind number 34. That'll bring up second down 10. Dave Purifoy again putting on some pretty good pressure from that left defensive end spot. Ricky Young, he came over from San Diego in a trade for Ed White. A trade that's worked well for both ball clubs.
He's been bothered by some sore ribs. In fact, he tried a little flak jacket for a while, said it was too cumbersome, so he's taken it off.
He was their leading rusher a year ago to go along with those 72 catches that he made. Second down 10. Kramer gives off to Young. And Young out to the 25-yard line. He's 2 yards short of the first down. It brings up a third down. Ricky Young. Talk about Walter Payton. He's related to Walter Payton. It's his nephew. In fact, he blocked for Walter at Jackson State.
Yep, he has to be related to Eddie Payton too, doesn't he?
Never thought of it that way. Thank you. Third down 2. Walter Payton, of course, with that 51-yard touchdown run in that game against Washington today. Looks like he's headed for another 100-yard day. Third down and 2. Kramer rolling out. Hits his man, Ted Brown, and Brown looks like he has the first down. Well, that's a tough play to stop when you get Kramer rolling out, throwing to the back, coming out of the backfield. They didn't stop it until they had the first down. Wayne Smith is shaken up on the play. He's that 11th round draft pick from Purdue. He also made the tackle. Smith starting in place of Walt Williams today. They really like this young rookie who was the fastest player last year on that Purdue team. He actually started at Purdue as a running back.
Look out, world. Here comes Ford.
There's a world of better ideas.
From a new world car to an all-new American sedan built for a changing world, Ford is building a world of excitement, a world of thunder and electronic magic. From a world of quiet to Ford's highest gas mileage ratings ever. Come see it all today at your Ford dealer.
There's a world of better ideas coming from Ford.
In an independent test,
Over 1,000 different people were asked.
Which TV set had the best overall color picture?
More people chose the 19-inch Sylvania Super Set
Than either RCA or Zenith.
This is the 4th year in a row
that Sylvania was chosen by the people
as having the best color picture.
Sylvania may not be the biggest, but a lot of people think Sylvania's got the
best color
picture.
Ricky Schroeder is a boy caught in the middle between the father he loves so much and the mother who wants him back. John Voight and Faye Dunaway star in The Champ, Monday night.
There's Wayne Smith. You can see him while he was standing in the midst of the bench there. He has come out of the ball game. Walt Williams replacing him. Smith walking off on his own power. First down now. Kramer giving off to Ricky Young. Nothing developed on that play. Dave Purifoy reacting well. Here's a man that was cast off by the Packers, Purifoy, and boy, the Lions are glad to have him. Second down. They lost a yard on that play. 2nd and 11. Purifoy was a cast off. Mendenhall was a cast-off from the Packers. Dave Roller, who's playing for Minnesota, used to play for Green Bay. All of them have found jobs. Look at this.
The Packers. They have tied up the 49ers now 13 all.
Boy, the Packers have really played tough, haven't they, the last 4 or 5 weeks? Last week losing by 2 to Pittsburgh. Second down, 11. Kramer with protection. And a little bit short. That was intended for Bob Tucker, the tight end, at the 35. Been a few instances in this game, Johnny, when I wonder if Kramer's hand hasn't bothered him a little bit on some of these passes.
Well, it could be, especially when it starts getting cold and you have something that's been bruised or bumped or broken or stuff like that. The circulation isn't always that good around that area, and so he might have some problems there. Ted Brown, by the way, was really breaking open on that last pass play down the field.
One very similar to he caught for a touchdown. Here we go. Third down, 11. Terry LeCount is checked in as Ted Brown comes out. You see they move their tight end to the backfield. That's LeCount in motion to the near side. On the shotgun on a 3rd and 11. Kramer running. In trouble. Flag. Baker. Oh, Bubba Baker put him down. But as we mentioned, a flag was thrown. Baker with his 3rd sack of this game.
Well, it may go against the Vikings on some kind of a holding situation.
You know, that's an insult. You're holding, they still get the sack.
That's right. That shows you that Riley's in some trouble, though, too.
Well, Bubba Baker with 3 sacks despite playing with some pain. As Coleman will punt now from the 5-yard line. John Arnold, who fumbled the last time just before the end of the first half, has his location at the 42-yard line of Detroit. 12:45 to go in this 3rd quarter. 10-0. Minnesota with the lead. Coleman. Arnold coming over. Oh, look out. He's got it. And he is hit immediately. Arnold that time just kind of falling on the ball to keep it within his grasp. And at the 45-yard line, Detroit will have it. That was a 36-yard kick that time by Greg Coleman. Robert Miller with the tackle.
I told my Allstate agent I can't afford life insurance. Well, John, don't put marbles in the penny wrappers. He told us about one of Allstate's affordable life plans. For a 28-year-old, $50,000 of decreasing term insurance for about $11 a month. These pennies could pay for a couple of months. Well, John...
Well, you put your pennies in my marble jar.
Ask about Allstate Life's affordable life plans. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Here's to good friends. Tonight
Hey,
is
Phil,
kind of special.
I thought you were taking us to dinner.
I
am.
Okay, where is it?
You're standing on it. What? Hey, a clam bake.
I suppose you got Lowenbrow, too.
Yep.
When you want the taste of a truly great American beer, tonight, let it be Lowenbrow.
Bill, that was fantastic. Hey, I only take my friends to the best places.
The Giants have tied up that game. Phil Simms hit Tom Holliday, their tight end, with a 20-yard touchdown pass. Boy, that game isn't over yet. What a battle they're having. This is the best field position now Detroit has had after the exchange of a punt. And Danielson, I don't know who he's trying to hit on that play. Simms was on a pattern down the middle of the field. Second down 10. Gary Danielson coming in here. Really hitting a good percentage of his passes. 58%. He's fifth in the NFC. As I mentioned, only 6 interceptions this year, and that's the lowest among starting quarterbacks. The only guy that's had less is Montana, but he hasn't played that much.
Yep. Gary Danielson's played with a lot of teams before he came here. He even played for the Chicago Wind.
That's the name for the past, huh? He played at Purdue, and he didn't get a lot of recognition because they were a running team at that time. Here's Dexter Bussey, and Bussey picks up 4 yards to the 49. It'll bring up 3rd and 6. Keith Nord, who last week ran a free kickback 70 yards for a touchdown, in on that tackle. Nord, a local young man who went to St. Cloud State, a native of the Minneapolis area. 3rd down and 6. 10-0. Minnesota with the lead. You see that rushing statistic. Detroit's had a tough time establishing a rushing game today. Scott at the top of the screen. Thompson to the bottom. Danielson, David Hill, a big tight end, and that's his first catch of the game. And that'll be a first down at the 34. You know, he's really been quiet. Haven't heard a lot from number 81, but he had that one on track all the way.
They haven't been throwing to him as much as they have in the past years, but he was wide open on that play, and Danielson really drilled the ball. That was probably Detroit's best play because all the patterns were crisp that time, with the exception of that great catch that Thompson made.
Hill has only 22 catches this year, way behind last year. Look at the Bears now. The Redskins coming back a little bit. A lot of big plays in that game. Play action, first down by Danielson. Blair. Oh, picked up. This is Kurt Knopf. And Knopf to the 10. 5, touchdown. This has been a day of big plays for the Minnesota Vikings.
And that is the biggest of them all, as Danielson was under tremendous pressure, tried to ad-lib his way and throw it out there to David Hill, and Knopf spotted it coming and got it on the full run. And you got to give some credit here to Matt Blair on the blitz, who put pressure on Danielson. He tried to get the ball. You see Knopf will catch it right in stride, and he was off to the races. Danielson made a valiant effort to prevent the touchdown. You'll see number 16 coming right here as Holloway. Is that Holloway there? Gives him a push, and Knopf plays off the block and goes into the end zone for a touchdown. Minnesota 16-0.
65-yard return that time by Kurt Knopf, his 3rd interception of the year. And all of a sudden it's 16-0 and now 17-0. So the Vikings have come up with the big ones today. That is the 5th turnover in the game against Detroit. While Detroit survived last year, they may not today.
Unforgettable. In 1955, this voice and this car were destined to become legends. For 1981, the legend lives on in a new Heritage Thunderbird and in a new voice named Cole.
Unforgettable. That's what you are.
The legend lives on because the Thunder's still there. There's a world of better ideas coming from Ford.
When you have questions like these about your money, get professional answers.
I'm buying this boat, and the owner wants either a certified check or a cashier's check. What's the difference?
My personnel agency is really doing very well, but I need to think about the future. How do I plan for retirement?
Keep your checking and savings at a full-service bank and get professional answers to your financial questions. America's full-service banks. We've got the answers.
Next Saturday, the LA Times 500 roars onto the CBS Sports Spectacular, and the battle of the NFL cheerleaders continues. Next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
Well, there's 2 very unhappy people. Gary Danielson, who just suffered his 7th interception. Monty Clark, who now has his team down 17-0. Do you read lips?
I don't want to.
Ken Callicutt. Callicutt to the 15, out to the 20. He hangs on this time to the 23-yard line. Henry Johnson over to make the stop, the rookie from Georgia Tech. There's been 2 plays in this game that just must have taken the breath away from Detroit. One was where they fumbled an exchange from center. The next play, a 67-yard touchdown pass. And then the play that just a moment ago happened, a 65-yard interception by Kurt Knopf. I mean, just complete reversals. You're headed one way, and all of a sudden the ball goes the other way.
If you want to see a difference in these two teams, the Lions have lost 13 fumbles this year. The Vikings only 3.
5 turnovers in the game for Detroit. Dexter Bussey. And Bussey brings it out across the 20 to the 27-yard line.
Bussey, the ball carrier.
Well, we mentioned that Detroit's a fourth quarter ball club. Well, they're going to have to be today. We have 10 minutes. Of course, there's a lot of time left yet. 10 minutes and 40 seconds left in this third quarter. 17-0. Minnesota, after that surprising win last week, they could move to 500. They were 4-5 at this time last year, and they got soundly defeated by a St. Louis team, and things went downhill a little bit until about the last 4 games of the year. There's a hit. Dexter Bussey really pounded that time. Out to the 30-yard line. Correction, that was Sims carrying the ball, and it'll come to a third down, still 3 yards to go. Doug Sutherland, 11-year veteran out of Superior State.
I think somebody missed a block, Gary.
I think you're right. Sutherland, he was a guy that became a starter in 1974 for this Minnesota team, and that's when they had that Page, Eller, and Marshall combination. 3rd and 3. Anderson would like to get this one going. Sims, and he's hit by Matt Blair. What a play by this Pro Bowler. Blair, who earlier precipitated that interception by Kurtnoff, went flying through that time and just took everything down as far as Detroit was concerned.
And I think he's happy to be back in the lineman. In the line again, that time he made a tremendous play. It had showed some speed here. Let's watch Matt Blair. He goes inside the block by David Hill and then just beats everybody there and just reaches out and stops Billy Sims. And of course, that's been the key for Minnesota today. They have stopped Billy Sims.
Great individual effort. As they were telling us, Matt Blair is the enthusiasm guy on this team, and that was an example of it there. Skladany to kick from the 10-yard line. Eddie Payton's going to let it hit at the 40, and it bounds back up to the 42-yard line. Minnesota has the football there. They have a 17-0 lead. That was only a 32-yard kick that time by Tom Skladany, who didn't get a break on the roll at all.
The first electronic football games like these were for only one player.
End run.
But something was missing.
Can I play? Wait your turn.
Then along came head-to-head electronic football by Coleco.
Now we can play at the same time. I'm offense. I'm defense.
With head-to-head, you're really in the game. A power sweep. He fights through for the tackle. You pass. He blitzes. Intercepts.
This is real competition.
Why settle for a one-player game when you can have it all? Play alone, against the computer, or for real competition, play
head-to-head.
Why settle for less?
We're doing something about it.
We're working at making our energy last.
Sunoco wants to make every drop count for America. That's why we have a new pump for unleaded gas. It has 4 grades of unleaded, including economy, priced below our regular, which can save money for you and fuel for America.
We're doing something about it. Sunoco is making every drop count.
Tonight, who shot JR?
I figured you did it.
I wanted to.
Nobody ever beats old JR. Part 2 of the season premiere of Dallas, tonight.
With Johnny Morris, I'm Gary Bender. We have 8:46 left in this third quarter. Minnesota with a 17-0 lead. They have a first down at their own 42-yard line. Off to Ted Brown. Brown has a lead block, and he has some running room across that 45, close to the 48-yard line. It was the first time in a long time, that time, Johnny, that the Vikings didn't have receivers split out left and right. Suppose they might just kind of play a little closer to the vest now with this lead?
Well, they could, especially after that play. They got good. There was no penetration by the Lions on the outside that time, and the Vikings were able to get around the horn. If they continue to get setups like that, they'll keep trying that.
That was a gain of 5, second down 5 at the 47-yard line. And again, they have only one receiver out, and that's Sammy White at the bottom of the screen. Everybody else in tight. 2:26. Kramer to Brown, and Brown this time doesn't get a lot. Going to bring up third down still, a long 3 to go.
Brown, the ball carrier.
Sometimes when you get a lead and you get conservative, that's the worst thing you can do.
Charlie Weaver on the tackle.
That's correct, because there really is plenty of time left in this game. 7 minutes and 45 seconds left in the third quarter.
The ball is at the 48-yard line. Third down, almost 4. There's a third down conversion for Minnesota. Look at that. They've had 12 attempts at third down. Shows you the opportunities they've had.
Yeah, they've had the ball.
Didn't start out like it was all that much different. Time of possession was very equal in that first quarter. Back to throw. Kramer out to Brown. And there is a tackle missed. And Brown is going to get a first down, I believe. Let's see. Very, very close. Good run by Ted Brown, who stayed on his feet. He broke a tackle by Jimmy Allen and then got up front of that stick, got across the front of the chain, and has the first down.
And that was the key. That was strictly a safety valve pass, and it was Jimmy Allen and Brown, and Jimmy Allen missed the tackle, and that allowed Brown to get up there and get very close to that first down. In fact, as you said, he got it.
It could be a pretty big play, because now Minnesota keeps possession. They have a first down with 7:11 left in this third quarter.
First and 10 for the Vikings and the
At the 47 now of Detroit. This time they have receivers wide left and right. Ricky Young inside the 40 to the 39. That's a good 8-yard pickup on the play. Charlie Weaver made the stop. And right now, even though the sun is not shining, it is shining on the Minnesota Vikings, because they are really doing everything right.
As a matter of fact, the lights have gone on here at Metropolitan Stadium.
But it's only 1 degree colder.
That's what they're telling us.
No, we've been told. David Fox, our producer, who's also our expert weatherman, has indicated it's now 39 degrees. I don't think that's even right. Jim Langer now has come in at center. He's the man they picked up from the Miami Dolphins, replacing Swilly. Here's Ricky Young going for the first down on a 2nd and 2. Very close to getting
the ball carrier.
Eddie Cole now in at middle linebacker, making the tackle for the Detroit Lions. They may have to measure this time. I see a flag also at the 35-yard line. Personal foul against the Lions.
Penalty against Detroit.
It's a frustrated football team right now.
And that's a big penalty, Gary.
15-yarder. Let's listen now to Pat Haggerty. That's William Gay. And right now, Monty Clark's probably wondering, what did we do wrong? What have we done here that we haven't done in the past? His team very successful this year, 6-3, but right now trailing 17-0 with 6:17 left in the third quarter. First down now at the 22 of Detroit. Kramer scrambling away. He has a 9-yard touchdown. Ricky Young. Kramer doing an excellent job of rolling around and throwing to the open man, and Ricky Young has just caught the touchdown pass, his 2nd of the year.
And boy, was he open, and Kramer on the run saw him as he was rolling out to this side. You'll see Young probably right here at the bottom of your screen. He'll come into the picture. He's right in between everybody, and it was an easy touchdown for Minnesota.
22-yarder. That was a 58-yard drive in 6 plays. I really like the way Kramer rolls out. He really makes things happen, doesn't he?
He certainly does, and it was a key play when Ted Brown broke that tackle, wasn't it, and got the first down for him?
I guess. Point after attempt by Danmar. He drills it. It's a 24-0 game now in favor of Minnesota. Kramer, his 2nd touchdown pass. 1 of 22, 1 of 67 yards.
Here's to good friends. Tonight is kind of special.
Tide's just right. That'll be a full moon. Hardly any wind. And the Lowenbrow's cold. Sure beats the office.
When you want the taste of a truly great American beer, tonight, let it be Lowenbrow.
Sure hope the fish don't bother us.
With all the hoopla surrounding the introduction of X car number 1 and K car number 1, isn't it interesting that Ford Fairmont number 1,200,001 rolled off the line with better estimated MPG than Citation, more total room than K, and when comparably equipped, sticker priced hundreds less than either. In short, Fairmont started doing what a 1981 car should do 1 million cars ago. Ford Fairmont, it makes a world of sense.
Well, it's 24-0. Minnesota. Right now, they're having a lot of fun out there. 6:10 left in this game. Another score we're watching. Pittsburgh still leads Tampa 24-21 with a little over 4 minutes left in that game. Ken Calicut to bring it out to the 20, 25, 30, 32-yard line. And now, you got to figure Detroit's just got to really open things up. Bob Brewer making the tackle for Minnesota. There it is, 24-21, as we mentioned. With a little over 4. I think it was 4 minutes and 17 seconds. There's the Cardinals, still leading Atlanta. That would knock them out of a first-place tie with Los Angeles in that NFC West. Los Angeles with a tough game, though, later today. They play Miami. First down at the 32. Danielson on the first down. Up the field, he hits his man, and that's Leonard Thompson, and that'll be a first down. Thompson struggling, finally stopped at the 45-yard line.
Danielson's pass complete to
Matt Blair, who's just played outstanding football today, makes the stop as Freddie Scott, congratulating Leonard Thompson. Well, that's a start, I guess, if you're a Detroit Lion fan, to try to come from behind, and they've done that on numerous occasions, but I don't believe they've been down 24-0
First and 10 for the Lions
at this stage of the game, and won it. Two receivers, the top of the screen, first down. Danielson off to Jesse Thompson. Thompson is going to struggle and lose the ball, but it goes out of bounds. Boy, that ball has been tough to hang on. As far as Detroit is concerned, Fred McNeil making the tackle. Gain to the 49-yard line.
A simple wide receiver screen left. Got some good blocks by his lineman, and here comes the hit that knocked the ball out. And the Vikings are hitting kind of hard. That's one reason they're fumbling the ball.
That was Knopf, who earlier picked off the pass and went 65 yards for 6 points. They marked the ball just across the 48. Second down and 7. Leonard Thompson to the bottom of the screen. Freddie Scott to the top. That's Bussey and Sims. Again, not having a lot of yards in the rushing game. Danielson running for his life. And I mean literally. He is really dumped at the 26. He's getting up, kind of shaking the arm.
The old safety blitz.
That was Mulaney, 77, and Keith Nord, the man you mentioned, the safety who were chasing him. Almost the moment he turned and looked up the field, he was running for his life.
Well, he was lucky to get it near a receiver. He got it close to Dexter Bussey, so they didn't call a penalty for illegal grounding of the ball. But somehow the Lions have got to get Billy Sims back in the flow of this action, get him some passes or something, somebody that can break something for you.
Third down and 7. Sims last week had only 37 yards rushing. Danielson in trouble, and he's dropped. That's Keith Nord again. Boy, this young man has really been a surprise, a free agent from a year ago. He led the Vikings in special teams tackles last year, and we mentioned last week that 70-yard touchdown run. What a find. You find guys like that very seldom as a free agent.
Well, the Vikings are just crossing the Lions up. They've all of a sudden come along with a couple of safety blitzes, and the Lions weren't ready for it.
Kicked now by Skladany. Eddie Payton with a fair catch at the 25-yard line. And at the 4:49 mark of this third quarter, Minnesota with a 24-point lead will have it. And let's look ahead to next week now. Green Bay against the Giants. The Giants have been surprising today. New Orleans and Atlanta, Philadelphia, Washington. Now Tampa Bay will be going against the Vikings. Tampa Bay still trailing in that game against Pittsburgh. But Tampa Bay gets a new lease on life should Minnesota win this one today.
They do, but Tampa Bay, of course, we really can't tell a lot until we see what happens with Tampa Bay, but they're 4-4-1. Detroit 6-3, the Vikings 4-5.
On first down, Kramer to throw. Sets up a screen to Ted Brown. Brown gets around Stan White. White doubles back and makes the tackle.
Kramer's pass complete to
Looks like we have a man shaken up for Minnesota, Steve Riley, getting up very slowly at the 20-yard line. Stan White did a pretty good job making that stop.
You hit it right on the head, Gary. He played off Jim Langer's block. Langer in there at center now, and just had to play off the block and then still made the tackle. Stan White, who does such a good job for them on defense, calls all the signals because he thinks just like Maxie Bond thinks. Number 52 is Stan White. As you see the play action to the right, the rollout, here comes a screen back to the other side. There is White, 52, getting away from Langer, falling off the block, and getting Brown from behind. A good play by Stan White.
Stan White, the man you talked to at the start of the game, he calls all the defensive signals. There's Steve Riley getting up. Riley's had a long day with Bubba Baker, and he will now come out of the lineup. Brent Boyd, number 62, a rookie from UCLA, their third-round draft pick, has come in. And he is going to play a guard, and I believe Jim Huff is going to move to that left tackle spot. That's what it's going to be. One thing about this Minnesota team, Johnny, they really have versatility in that offensive line.
They do, and that can always help, especially when you get through the injury situations. It's hurt them early in the season. It hurt them, but
going to bring up third down, still a good yard, maybe 2 to go. Back to this Minnesota team. With Riley out of there, they still have the versatility of a Huffman who can play tackle. They have John Vella, who they picked up from Oakland this year after he was waived. Swilly can move to a guard. Huff can play guard or a tackle. They have Langer who can play center. Swilly can play center. Huffman can play center. That's really versatility. And now the Falcons starting to come back a little bit. 24-13.
3rd and 2 for the Vikings.
Third down, 2 yards to go. The ball at the 33-yard line. 3:45 left in the third quarter. You joined us at this particular juncture. The Vikings leading at 24-0. Kramer, that rollout again to Joe Sensor, the tight end, for the first down. And that looks like they could run that play successfully all afternoon long.
Well, when you have Kramer coming out like that, you just send him out in front of you, the receiver. Kramer has that option of throwing that little pass or running or hitting somebody downfield, and that's one of the advantages of Kramer. He's pretty mobile. It's not like a Fran Tarkington was, but pretty darn mobile.
That's what Fran used to do, though. Remember, he'd run around, roll out, run all over the place.
He was one of a kind, wasn't he?
For Kramer, that's his 18th completion of this game. First down at the 39-yard line. Kramer on play action to Rashad. He makes the catch. And that appears to be just short of the first down. Wayne Smith getting a real baptism today, trying to stay with Rashad. And there was a case. Kramer had a lot on that football.
He did. Had a lot of mustard. But this is the time of the game where a guy like Wayne Smith or a cornerback has got to take a chance. Rashad's coming down for that out move. You're down 24-0. Take a chance, go for the interception rather than playing normal, worrying about the deep pass, because so many things can go wrong with the deep pass anyway. Even if he beats you, the quarterback might not have the time. He might throw it bad. He might not catch it. They got to take some chances, and that's what the Lions. The only way the Lions are going to get back in this game.
Rashad now has 5 catches for 50 yards. Second down, a yard to go. Going for the first down, Ricky Young, and he has it at the 50-yard line.
Young, the ball carrier.
Stan White in on the tackle for Detroit. As we mentioned, this Minnesota team in a very good position, not only to make a move today, but the next 2 weeks as they return to play the next 2 games at home against Tampa Bay. Then they have Green Bay here. Detroit, on the other hand, their second half of the schedule is tougher as they will play Baltimore next week at home.
1st and 10 for the Vikings at the Lions 49.
First down just inside the 50. We have a final score now. Chicago has defeated Washington 35-14 in that game. Chicago very much in the picture again. Ricky Young, that will be for no gain.
It had to be 35-21 unless somebody took away 7 points from him. Wasn't it 35-21 going into the fourth? But anyway, Chicago won the game.
Young, the ball carrier.
Yeah, it shows it on the scoreboard, but we have it on the card. And there it is, 35-21. Boy, that loss Monday night looks even bigger now as far as the Bears are concerned.
Yeah, the Bears were picked to win the Central Division going in this year, and they're 4-6 now after this victory.
Second down, the 11 for the Vikings at midfield.
And Tampa Bay could be, they're still trailing 24-21 to Pittsburgh. We'll check that one. Minnesota on their way here to a win. Kramer Complete to Rashad, his sixth catch of the afternoon, and what a move to the 30, 25, 20, and out of bounds at the 18-yard line. Ahmad Rashad, some concern about his ankle, but that's certainly been put in the past. Eddie Cole made to stop a 32-yard gain on this play.
And you'll see Rashad come down underneath, and then what's the deke he puts on Ray Oldham and James Hunter, both of them. He just gets right by him, then turns on the speed, looks for help, and takes it down. Finally, Cole makes the tackle.
Rashad now 6 for 86. As you have another look, Rashad, one of the best to ever play this football game, and look at the moves he's making here. You believe it? 80 catches a year ago. Over 1,000 yards, and you see what he's done for today. First down from the 18-yard line. Kramer back. That's intended for Rashad. Overthrown. A little push over there by Wayne Smith.
Wayne Smith gave him a little love tap there. I'm not sure Ahmad thought it was a love tap. There's a few words going on between them right now.
Smith probably felt like he had to get back somehow, the way things have been going here. Change now as coming into the lineup is Joe Sensor, tight end. A minute 16 remaining in the third quarter. From the 18-yard line, the Vikings. Second and 10. Sammy White, haven't heard a lot from him since early in the game. And Ahmad Rashad split out. Kramer on the second. Blitz by Oldham. Safety blitz by Ray Oldham. And that's one of those chances you were talking about. Detroit needs to take. Make something happen.
He's over here on the backside, and Kramer, I think, might have sensed him coming at the last second because he slightly starts to cover up right there so that he hangs on to the ball. But a good safety blitz by the Lions, and as we said, they got to do some things to make things happen and hope for a couple of breaks. Their only chance for this ball game.
There's the sacks by Detroit.
46,264. Thank you.
Terry LeCount has checked in. 3 wide receivers for Minnesota. 47 seconds left in this third quarter. Third down, 20 yards to go.
There it is.
Double again to Brown. This time doesn't gain as much. Earlier it went for 34 yards to the 20-yard line. They're still 12 yards short of the first down. And a field goal attempt now coming up.
I'm always amazed that this play works. Seems like there would be so much traffic up in there out of the shotgun. There it is. Just follows the guard across as Wes Hamilton threw his block, and it was Stan White who had to make the tackle.
Kind of like a little basketball flip.
Yep, and that's called it's a forward pass.
Dan Meyer now, who's already hit field goals of 27 yards in this game. Missed a 40-yarder. Will be attempting this time a 38-yarder. But 38 yards away. Dan Meyer didn't get it. So Dan Meyer missed one just before the end of the first half, and now comes back and misses a 38-yarder as we take a close look at it.
I think this is the first time he's missed from inside the 40 this year.
You're right. He was 8 of 8 in that department. And let's see if we can find out what went wrong. It just veers right, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's a swirling wind out there that you have to... Boy, that was close, wasn't it? It hit the crossbar.
Yes, it did. I didn't see that the first time, but it did hit the upright. And so now Detroit will take over from the 20-yard line with 7 seconds left in this third quarter. Danielson to Freddie Scott. Scott that time just not quite able to make the connections.
Do you know Scott has one glove on there, Gary? The other hand is free. He's got 2 elbow pads. Boy, that's a lot of extra weight to carry, isn't it?
I can't figure out why you'd have one glove on now. That's been one of the big things this year in the NFL is teams wearing gloves, the receivers in particular. Why one glove?
I don't know. I don't know how they catch him with 2 gloves. Seems like you got to have the feel of that hand.
This will be the last play of the third quarter. Second down, 10. Danielson is going to be sacked. And that is Duck White, number 72. And so that's the end of the third quarter with the score. The Minnesota Vikings 24, the Detroit Lions nothing. We now pause for a word from your local station.
Enos, he's moving up from Hazard County, so look out, L.A.
Can drive in the city.
Enos, premiering Wednesday at 8, 7 Central and Belgium.
This is CBS.
Well, what about this one? New Orleans, that's a dangerous team. You don't want to play teams that are 0-9. You have a lot of offense leading Philadelphia with the best record in the NFL. We have a final. Pittsburgh has defeated Tampa Bay 24-21. Third down and 19, and Danielson is smothered. Gary Danielson with Mark Mullaney, 77, jumping with joy.
Boy, I think that Minnesota team is mighty, mighty happy. Good pass rush, not only by Mullaney, but everybody. He got around Homer Elias. You'll see, look to the left of your screen, as Danielson tries to go forward in the pocket. Mullaney went all the way around and still caught him from the backside. Great play by Mark Mullaney. I thought he was supposed to be still hurt.
I think Bud Grant has just pulled the wool over everybody's eyes. He had all these guys supposedly hurt, and they've all played today. The kick, Skladany on 4th and 21. They may put a big rush on. They're jumping around, as you can see.
Well, it's like a crossword puzzle, isn't it?
Mike Whited to snap from center, and it is almost blocked. Eddie Payton. Payton to the 40. 35, runs into his own man and is dropped. We have a man shaken up in the end zone. That's Matt Blair. He collided. You know, the punter went down too. Let's look at it. We have a replay on it, and let's reconstruct what happened around this punt.
But the man that hit him was blocked into the punter, so they can't call a penalty, as Blair was blocked into Skladany, and he's the one that got hurt. It'll be Minnesota's ball.
Just in time for Christmas. Save $10 each on 2 favorite Radio Shack electronic games. 2-player football or 2-player baseball. Both cut to $29.95 each. Computerized action games with separate controls for each player. Lighted scoreboard with built-in sound. Challenge a friend or play against the computer. Pitch a no-hitter. Score a touchdown. Be a winner and pocket the savings. Sale price 2-player electronic games. Only at Radio Shack, your Christmas electronic store.
Introducing a car that combines the brain power of German engineers, Japanese engineers, American engineers. Introducing a world car. The new Ford Escort, built in America with better ideas from around the world. Higher gas mileage ratings than Rabbit, Accord, Corolla hatchback. Yet roomier inside. With 4-wheel independent suspension, front-wheel drive. Ford Escort, built in America to take on the world.
Last year, Matt Blair blocked 5 kicks, and he almost blocked this one by Tom Skladany.
Here he comes. He takes the block, and watch his foot come, and he kicks Skladany, and then when he went down, he must have landed wrong.
But he was blocked into him, so that was not a roughing the kicker. Kramer on a first down to Sammy White. And White hit very hard that time. Jimmy Allen making the stop, but that'll be another first down. We have Kramer down at the 45. He was hit as he released the football. There he is. He's fighting back from an injury as it is, and that time it looked like William Gay, 79, really dumped him. He was kind of up in the air that time as he was throwing the ball over the middle to Sammy White. Well, as we mentioned earlier, Pittsburgh defeating Tampa Bay, so if Minnesota hangs on here, they will be in second place in the NFC Central.
I'll tell you, I was a born soccer player. Did everything with my feet. Took out the rubbish with my feet, made the bed with my feet, drove my mum crazy. But I finally found something I enjoy doing with my hands, drinking light beer from Miller. Light has 1/3 less calories than the regular beer. It's less filling, but what really makes me happy is the taste. It's terrific. Now, my mum should be happy too. Look, Mum, no feet.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
As if Hawaii didn't already have enough going for it. Soon it will have a new airline. A special airline. The airline that's been selected again as the #1 choice for domestic travel by frequent flyers. The airline, American. The main reason, service. And starting December 17th, you can get this #1 service on the way to Hawaii.
We're American Airlines, doing what we do best.
Next Saturday, see NASCAR's champion crowned at the LA Times 500, and the battle of the NFL cheerleaders continues. Next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
First and 10 for the Vikings at the Lions.
Tommy Kramer leads the ball game, and look at the afternoon he has had. 2 touchdown passes. Steve Dills, who we thought was going to start the game, is now the quarterback. An end around to Joe Sensor. And the big tight end is hit by William Gay. Boy, Gay in the last couple of plays have been after people.
He certainly has. He hit him very high there, almost a shot to the head there, as he was able to get around Bubba Baker and around Gay.
They just announced the statistics on Kramer that we gave you, and a real roar went up. Well, they have a healthy situation. Here's Dills, who last week led him to victory. Kramer, who played so well today. Both very young quarterbacks. Kramer in his 4th year. Dills in his 2nd year.
And it didn't appear that Kramer was hurt all that badly. It looked like he was just shaken up.
2nd down, 11. The loss of a yard on that last play. Young, Brown, the running backs. Here's Dills, his first pass, and he has Ricky Young. And Ricky Young inside the 15 will bring up 3rd down and 5. So Dills comes in and picks up where Tommy Kramer left off.
I think what also is impressive about this Viking victory is that right now it's a shutout for the defense, and the defense has performed well for several games now. And you start piling one game on after another, you get a trend, and you know that your defense has come around. They got a much better pass rush, and they're just playing overall good defense. Now they have 2 good offensive displays here. Things are starting to really look up for the Minnesota Vikings.
Well, as you mentioned, they've given up only 51 points in the last 4 games. 3rd down and 5 from the 13-yard line. 24-0 Minnesota. Dills looking for his man to make his cut, that being Terry LeCount. And he just kind of fired it away. James Hunter defending on the play. Boy, he had some mustard on that football. And that'll bring up a 4th down.
Let's see if William Gay has still got his dander up. He's being blocked by number 58, Jim Langer, and everybody else. Boy, he's after him, isn't he?
He's a little fired up. Here's Dan Meyer, who's having a difficult time. He's hit 1 of 3. Will be attempting a 31-yarder. Dills to hold. And flags everywhere on that play. Little eagerness, but who was guilty? Dan Meyer, you know, he's missed a 38 and a 40-yarder. He's hit one from 27. Boy, look at that.
Yes, 38-35 Giants in the 4th quarter.
And remember now, the Eagles are trailing today, too, early against New Orleans. I can't believe the Giants have scored 38 points against Dallas. But I didn't believe they could throw 5 touchdown passes either, like they did in that first game against St. Louis. Discussion going on, and it's offside against Detroit. That took a long time to determine. Be a 5-yard step off, and is that enough for the first down?
It's going to be very, very close. It's enough that they could maybe go for the first down.
It is a first down. It's 1st and goal.
Yes, it is.
Stan White arguing about that. So Dan Meyer won't get a crack at a field goal.
Well, the Lions obviously are claiming they were drawn offsides.
Well, I guess when things go badly, they really do in a hurry, don't they? Tuene, number 71, coming off. Monty Clark. It's like he doesn't have a friend in the world right now. It's a tough business, isn't it?
I'd hate to have him mad at me.
Bills leading the Jets 7-0. 1st down and goal. 8-yard line area. Dills to Ricky Young. Young trying to turn the corner, and that's Bill Gay again on the stop. Gay started his career as a tight end. He was drafted by Denver in the 2nd round. And last year they moved him to the defensive side, and looks like a pretty good move. No gain on the play. It'll be 2nd and goal from the 8. Boy, she makes me cold. I don't know how. Of course, this is a warm day for people up in this area.
It's that movement. We're sitting here like 2 duffs, and she's moving. She's staying in shape.
2nd and goal now from the 8. Young, Brown again, the running back. Sensor is split out as the tight end to the bottom of the screen. Dills back as time. Hits Young, and Stan White tackles him. Ricky Young picks up maybe 2 yards to the 6, and it'll be 3rd and goal from there. Pretty good coverage. I am really impressed with the Stan White. He's a man who's been in this league for many, many years, his 9th year. Like a coach on the field, probably one of the best acquisitions the Lions have made in the last 10 years.
And he's going to be a corporate lawyer.
Very articulate guy. He used a big word in that interview.
Yes. What was it? Propensity?
That's right. We all looked it up to see what it was. They marked the ball at the 7-yard line. 3rd and goal there. Hills on a quick hitter, and Brown doesn't get it done because Mendenhall was there. They tried to cross him up. Had Mendenhall not made that tackle, he was in for a touchdown.
Exactly. They did cross him up, except Mendenhall was alert, made a nice play, and prevented the touchdown. Brown was gone. He was on a full flight.
Well, we're going to have a field goal attempt after all. Dan Meyer will come back out unless we have another offside. And this time it'll be a little bit shorter. He's going to attempt a 24-yarder. Actually, a 23-yarder. They'll be kicking from the 13. And that's what he looks at as he is going to get that one. Tell you what, though, he used all the left side of it, didn't he, to get it through. And so Dan Meyer with a second field goal of the day. As now, Minnesota with a 27-0 lead.
The Canon NP80 puts you in touch with the age of micronics, an ingenious combination of microcomputer, optics, and electronics expertise. Extremely fast and reliable, the Canon NP80 makes 32 letter-sized copies a minute on plain paper, up to 11 by 17, with exceptional copy quality. Look into the NP80 at your Canon dealer and get in touch with the age of micronics.
Mustang! The sky's the limit for 1981. Now Mustangs available with a rakish new T-roof. Mustang, born to run with the wind, sure-footed to handle quick turns. Mustang, a world of high gas mileage you might not expect from such a high-spirited car. Mustang! Capture a Mustang, America's most popular sports car. From the world of better ideas at Ford.
Next Saturday, the LA Times 500 roars onto the CBS Sports Spectacular, and the battle of the NFL cheerleaders continues. Next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
The Giants have defeated the Cowboys 38-35. The difference, a 27-yard field goal by Joe Danella. Boy, this has been an interesting season. Rick Kane on this kickoff. Kane out to the 25. A flag has been thrown as he brings it out across to the 33, but a flag way back at the 20-yard line. Boy, with Dallas losing to the Giants ending their 8-game losing streak, it would give Philadelphia a real opportunity to get some distance between themselves and the Cowboys if they can beat New Orleans. But the last we checked, they were trailing in that game. Penalty going against Detroit. Probably the clip. So the Lions, who have not had good field position in very much of this game, have it facing them again. The bad field position all the way inside the 10-yard line.
There have only been, I believe, just a couple of penalties against Minnesota today, and they only had 2 last week. You know, that's...
That'd be Charlie Weaver.
As I was going to say, that would be pretty good stats when you only have 4 penalties in 2 games and no interceptions.
Minnesota's really hasn't done anything wrong today. They've really played a complete football game. Danielson back. First down, and the completion is going to be for the first down. Fine catch by Scott. And you saw Nate Wright look like he might step in there for a minute and have an interception.
It was a good thing for Detroit that was a high pass because Nate Wright had gone for the interception. Notice him inside the receiver, but the ball was thrown very high, and really a good catch by Scott.
Freddie Scott is a fine football player. That first down gets him a little breathing room to the 22. I know the Lions would like to avert this shutout. Here's Danielson back, scrambling, and he can run with the best. 25, and he'll go out of bounds there. Tackle made by Nate Wright.
Danielson, the ball carrier.
Danielson, I don't think a lot of people realize how well he runs. He's averaging almost 7 yards a carry, and he won the game last week on an 8-yard bootleg against San Francisco. 6'2", 195. Let's check some other scores. The Chiefs against Seattle. earlier this year. Seattle winning that one. The Dolphins leading the Rams. The Rams, of course, aware that Atlanta was losing today. They'd like to win and get sole possession of first place in the West. Number 25, Rick Kane, who's now in there, and Kane brings it out to the 30. Well, Billy Sims is having a difficult time getting yardage. He's out of the ball game right now. Last week he had 37 yards, and today we'll check the stats on him. He's had 4 100-yard days.
Blair and Mulaney on the tackle.
Last week he was shut down, and today he has only 21 yards on 9 carries.
I think he only had 37 last week, so as Sims goes, so do the Lions go. And that when he hasn't done well, they have not done well, although he caught a lot of passes last week.
He had 11 for 95. Danielson back on a 3rd and 3, and he just throwing that down the field and almost intercepted by Nate Wright. He just threw that one up, hoping that Freddie Scott would run under it, but nothing developed on it. Fred McNeil put good pressure on that play and made Danielson maybe throw this one before he wanted to.
That was the key. They put the blitz on it. He just cast it up, and it was almost Nate Wright with the reception or interception, however you would like to call it.
4th down. Skladany trying to keep the hands warm as Eddie Payton drops back inside the 30-yard line. Boy, Detroit has had a tough time winning here, haven't they?
Yes. They threw once on 4th down last week. Skladany completed a pass, but I don't think he'd try it now because they were waiting for it.
Beauty this time. Very fine kick. Payton going to throw a block, and that ball is going to be killed inside the 5-yard line. Beautiful, beautiful kick by Tom Skladany. And his distance on that one will be 62 yards. Well, wait a minute. Now they're saying 67 yards. A 67-yard kick by Skladany. And so the Vikings are at the 3-yard line.
Watch out. Winter's almost here, and wind's gonna get you, and cold's gonna get you, and high fuel bills are gonna get you, because you still haven't added more insulation to your attic. So do it now. Get more Owens Corning fiberglass insulation and add another layer to put your house in the pink. See your dealer or contractor. Buy more Owens Corning fiberglass insulation now, before winter gets you.
Super automotive values from Sears. Get power to start. Get power to spare. Get the Sears 48. Now only $44.99 with trade-in, our lowest price of the year. You save $10. The Road Handler, or the Road Handler Ice and Snow. Sears' best steel-belted radials. Now on sale. Save 40% on the second tire when you buy the first at regular price. At Sears, where America shops for value.
Tonight on CBS starts with 60 Minutes, followed by Archie Bunker's Place, the season premiere of One Day at a Time, then Alice, the Jeffersons, and part 2 of the season premiere of Dallas. Who shot JR?
Dusty.
Dusty. Just like that?
Everybody thinks he's dead, but he's not dead. I think he shot JR.
No, I've never heard that one. I've heard everyone but that one. All tonight right here on CBS. From the 3 after a 67-yard kick by Skladany. And bringing it out, Ricky Young. Young to the 8-yard line. The last shutout that the Minnesota Vikings were able to produce was in 1975. They beat the Atlanta Falcons 38-0. And now with less than 9 minutes left in this game, they're trying to do it once again.
5 for the Vikings at their gate.
Robert Miller now is coming to the backfield, replacing Ricky Young. 2nd down, 6. This is Steve Dills replacing Kramer, who was shaken up. Kramer with 295 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. And Ted Brown, who's had an excellent day, very close to the first down.
Ted Brown, the ball carrier.
This guy had a sensational year at North Carolina State. And looks like he's going to have quite a career in the National Football League. You know, when he was at North Carolina State, he had 27 100-yard days.
Well, he's quite a runner. I think what happened in the development of Brown was, as you recall, remember last year he had that knee injury.
That's right. Played on a leg and a half.
All right. And that was at the beginning of the season. He never really got himself going last year. And I think he's really just coming into his own just a year later than maybe they had anticipated because they didn't anticipate the knee injury.
John Vela is coming at right offensive tackle, number 71 for Minnesota, as Brown breaks out to the 24-yard line.
Ted Brown, the ball carrier.
Ted Brown, total yardage in this game is really going to be impressive because in the first half he had 5 catches for a lot of yards. Tell you, this game is getting tight now as they start into the fourth quarter. 27-20. Bratkowski,
That was a gain of 9.
should say Bartkowski, throwing for a touchdown. And the Packers have now taken the lead over the 49ers, 20-13.
Vikings at their 23.
The Browns and Colts. Burt Jones, you're never safe in that game, are you?
Never.
Second down, just about a half yard to go. Here's Brown again. And look at that cut. What a nifty cut that was. And he has the first down. Boy, that was just an excellent job by Brown. Looked like he'd lose yardage. Let's look at this play once again.
Well, Dave Purifoy, number 75, was out there, and he got a hand on him, but he couldn't stop him. Then he cut back against the grain. 3 Lions were left there as Brown went on and got some valuable yardage before Wayne Smith was in on the tackle.
Brown has 190 yards in total offense in this game. 9 for 140 as you look at the Bills score in passing yardage, and rushing 15 for 50 yards. First down, Dill. Wide open is Terry LeCount. And LeCount has the first down. Well, I don't know what happened on that play, but nobody was close to him.
Sensor went straight down the field and cleared everybody out. Everybody went with him.
LeCount, former draft pick of the 49ers, picked up on waivers. He's really been an excellent special teams performer. And Dills, with the first down pass, moves it to the 42, and Monty Clark saying, let's get out of here. Get home, play Baltimore. And that won't be easy.
First and 10 for the Vikings at their 42.
Sammy White, the bottom of the screen, split out. 5:50 left in this game. 27-0 Minnesota. Dills to White. Wayne Smith defending on the play.
Dill's pass intended for Sammy White is incomplete.
Talk about receivers. Rashad and White together. That's a combination. You just can't double cover one or the other.
Correct, and when you start developing a threat with Brown, and of course Ricky Young has always been good out of the backfield.
Sammy White last year had 42 catches. His rookie year he had 51, and 78 he had 53. Hasn't had the production in the last year or so, but coming into this game he had 23 catches. But he is a threat. Dills is 3 of 5 now for 19 yards. Second and 10. Dills, he's hit by Gary Cobb. He got it off the Sensor, and Sensor's going to go all the way for the touchdown. And there's a flag, but what the flag is about is roughing the passer. Dills was hit so hard as he threw the ball, but it doesn't even matter. He still completed it for the touchdown, a 58-yarder. And Minnesota is just doing everything right. Let's look at this again.
Watch the receivers upfield. They crisscross. A perfect crisscross, and there's Sensor out there with a catch. Jimmy Allen misses a key tackle again as Sensor goes in for the touchdown, and Dills took the hit. It was a penalty, but it didn't matter. I'm sure they love to refuse it because it's another touchdown, and who would have thunk this score?
58 yards. Joe Sensor, that's it, young man we told you about. He didn't play last year. He's becoming a pretty big factor in this offense for Minnesota. Dills now 4 of 6 for 77 yards. Danmeyer to kick in Detroit. The roof, if there was one here, has fallen in on him. Danmeyer makes it 34-0. That's right, 34-0. Let's go back ground level and see what happened on this last play.
Let's take a look at the penalty against number 53.
That's Gary Cobb.
Sensor had pretty good speed down there.
Well, you know, this guy, as we mentioned earlier, was quite a basketball player. He's 6'4", he's 238. He set an NCAA basketball record for field goals in a season, percentage-wise. He hit .669%, so you know he's a good athlete.
And that was a real nice play. They crisscrossed him not too deep in the field, drew the cornerback in on the short coverage on the other receiver so that once Sensor made the grab, there was nobody else on the field to make the tackle. Just a darn good play by the Vikings, and the Lions, they're in trouble.
Monty Clark is probably saying, all right, you guys, let's get it all out of our system now. Let's get this whole disaster taken care of and count and look ahead to next week. Boy, it's snowball effect here today as far as his football team is concerned. You look back in this game, they trailed 10-0 at halftime, 24-0 after 3 quarters, and now 34-0.
And they'll have to, the Lions are certainly still in first place with a 6-4 record and still in the best position of anybody else in the Central Division. But they had a lot of kinds of complaints and everything went wrong last week, and they're a winning team. Now with the way things have gone today, who knows what kind of quotes are going to come out in the newspapers and in the locker room afterwards.
Dan Meyer kicking off. Rick Kane out of San Jose State, not going to bring it out. And so from the 20-yard line, Detroit with 5:25 remaining. Let's look at what the standings were like before we started this day. Now Tampa Bay got beat. They're 4-5-1. Minnesota would be 5-5. Detroit, as you mentioned, 6-4. Green Bay, let's see, what was the latest on them?
They're ahead.
They're ahead 20-13, and Chicago won. So it's tightened up.
In effect, it tightens up the whole division. I think there's one thing that's fairly safe to say, and that is that you have to win the Central Division to get in the playoffs. I don't think the wild card is going to come from any wild card is going to come from the Central Division.
Absolutely, and I think today has proved that. Here's Danielson back. Oh, is he hit? A flag roughing the passer. He got the pass off to Freddie Scott for a first down, and Danielson is hurt. Boy, he really got belted on that play. Now he's shaking it off, but he was bent over, and I think it was Mulaney that hit him.
Yes. And Danielson's been banged up this year all season. He's just now kind of getting well. He's had a sore hand and a sore shoulder and sore ribs, and of course that's the tough kind of a penalty. You can tack 15 yards right on.
Personal foul, number 77, roughing the passer, first down.
Mulaney, as we mentioned, Danielson is wearing a special rib pad. It's not a flak jacket type, but he's worn that for the last few weeks. Takes poundings like that, he's going to have to continue to wear it. So that penalty plus the completion moves the ball to the 48-yard line. Have to wait on the referee to retrieve his flag back inside the 5-yard line.
I think we've seen the last of Billy Sims for this afternoon. He is not in there now either, so apparently I don't think he got hurt. So I think Monty says this game's out of reach.
Boy, it's going to be having a tough time getting that 1,000-yard mark, isn't it?
Yes.
Here's Danielson, quick pitch and end around, reverse fumbled and picked up by Leonard Thompson. That's one of the few that bounced for the Lions. And Thompson stepped out of bounds. They're going to mark his forward progress back at the 48-yard line. Well, that's one of the few things that happened in the Lions' favor. Most of their fumbles, they haven't been able to retrieve. But watch this one.
If he hadn't have dropped it, he might have had a shot here. Freddie Scott missed the block here. He might have gotten some big yardage.
John Turner, number 27, he got away from him there. See, he stepped out of bounds.
Right.
2nd and 6 for the Lions at the Minnesota 48.
Leonard Thompson, when he was at Oklahoma State, was a running back. At the 48.5-yard line, for all of that, they picked up 4 yards. 2nd and 6. Danielson under pressure. Tries to hit Ulysses Norris. Norris hasn't caught a pass this year, and there was a good chance it went by the board. Detroit, in this game, 7 fumbles. They've lost 4.
Unbelievable. They had 22 fumbles going into the game. And then they had lost 11. So you can see that it's, they can't continue this way.
I'm always curious, Johnny. You hate to get shut out, don't you? There's a certain amount of pride involved in that. That's where Detroit is right now. Trying somehow to get some points on the board. 5:03 left. 3rd down, 6. Danielson pressure again. Somehow he gets rid of it, but it's going to bring up a 4th down. Wait a minute.
That's a sack of Danielson.
They're going to rule out a sack. They say he didn't get rid of the football in time.
I think they're going to rule that his knees touched the ground before he threw that ball.
It's still 4th down. The ball back at the 46-yard line. They're going to go for it with 4:53 left. Well, you look at the scoring this year for Detroit and the points that they have scored. Just unbelievable. They could be shut out in a game.
It is 4th and 12.
Here's a look at that play again. Let's see if he goes down here.
That's a good call.
Good call.
So on 4th down and 12, Danielson trying somehow to keep it going, and he hits Horace King. Fine catch by King, and that will be enough for the first down, so they still have a crack at scoring in this game. Horace King, he hasn't played all that much this year. That's only his 5th catch of the year. Well, the Eagles now tied up New Orleans 7-7. To get back to the New Orleans thing, you know, you hate to play a team that hasn't won a game. You know what? They scare you, especially the way the Saints can score points.
Only thing is, I'd rather play a team that hasn't won one than a team that's won them all.
First down at the 40. This crowd, they're really fired up right now. 34-0. The home team winning, and Danielson is just getting belted back there.
They're coming with everybody but the kitchen sink now. They had a all-out blitz that time, and there were just too many rushers for the amount of blockers.
Well, they're sure fattening up the sacks in this game. That's now 8 sacks for Minnesota. New Orleans now, Johnny, has taken the lead over Philadelphia 14-7. Archie Manning hit Wes Chandler, 17-yard touchdown pass. Manning earlier threw a 24-yarder. The Eagles score. Jaworski 10 yards to Harold Carmichael. That means his string has continued now to 122.
6 backs in there.
2nd down, 19. And here he goes again. This is Doug Martin, the big rookie, number 79 out of Washington.
And that time they just had a straight 4-man rush, and Detroit had 6 men blocking on 4, and they still got through there.
You can hear the crowd chanting defense. Well, we said at the top of the show that Minnesota thought this was their chance to make a move, and they are making their move here today. They figure that they have as much to say about who's going to win this division as anybody now. They have 2 wins over Chicago already, beating Detroit here today, Tampa Bay here next week. 3rd and 24. And he completes the pass, but of course they have a long ways to go. Catch made that time by Rick Kane. Moves the ball just short of the 45, or brings up 4th down, still 15 yards to go.
The Vikings have 7 sacks. I think that's the most they have this year in one game. I did a game a couple of weeks ago when St. Louis sacked Burt Jones 12 times to tie an NFL record.
Well, they had 6 against the Bears earlier this year. Minnesota did. From the 45, just short of it. 4th down again. See if Danielson can keep it going. 2:17 left in the game. Oh, we can add another one. Doug Sutherland. They better get Danielson out of there so they can have him for next week. This crowd loving it.
He's kind of limping. He may have a sore knee out of this as Doug Sutherland comes through, and here comes Mulaney to pile on also. That's the 8th sack for the Vikings, and this has become devastation. And that's very embarrassing over here. This is one of the few fields where you have both teams on the same side of the sidelines, and I saw some of the Vikings.
You're right. He is limping. He's hurting a little bit. You know, he had the knee surgery. He's out all of last year. Really impressed with Gary Danielson. Got a lot of character, a lot of class. He's really done an excellent job, but this has not been Detroit's day. So with 2:13 left, Hills gives up. And that's Doug Pascal, the rookie out of North Carolina. Pascal carrying inside the 45 to the 43. He was their 5th-round draft pick, an excellent blocker.
And he showed some speed in that line. He looked real good on that play.
The 2-minute warning is here. 34-0. Minnesota with the lead.
When I was coaching, I was the boss. I used to feed them, dress them, get them to bed on time. Now I treat them to our favorite beer, right?
Light beer from Miller.
Light's got a third less calories than the regular beer. And what else?
It's less filling, Red.
And they really like the taste. Another beer, anyone?
Yeah. Do it.
What's the magic word? Please.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Introducing an American car designed for a changing world and with a commitment to quality. Introducing the beautifully new Ford Granada. Built with a new design. Smaller in size, yet more spacious than ever before. Built with Granada's highest mileage ratings ever. And built with Ford's quality control system. 38 different inspectors examine every single car. The new Granada. Built for a changing world from Ford.
Look at this one. The Cardinals at one stage of this football game led 24-6. It's now 27-all. Lynn Kane with a 10-yard touchdown run has tied it up. And the Packers lead the 49ers 20-16. Here it's 34-0. 2 minutes left in the game. Second down and 7 for Minnesota. Sammy White in motion. Steve Dills. Dills intended for Robert Miller. There's Gary Danielson. He went off limping after that last sack. Still limping. He has been beaten up. He's had a shoulder problem. He's had rib problems. Seems to be indicating he's going to be okay. And, of course, he's even had a hand that's cramped up on him. He has difficulty with that after he throws a ball sometimes. They've treated that.
I'll say one other thing. The Vikings are not running the ball out. They went to the air there on second down. But, there's always the point differential is still a possibility when it gets down to the playoffs.
David Fox, our producer, our director, Chris Erskine. As Steve Dills gets this one to Terry LeCount, and LeCount goes out of bounds at the 38-yard line. Let's see if he got the first down. Looks like he's about a yard short of it. David Fox, who's in that truck keeping warm. And Chris Erskine. He's used to this weather, though, being from the Chicago area.
Oh, yeah. He's one of the monsters of the Midway.
Well, I thought that was a label that David had from New York. There's Greg Coleman. Is he getting a game ball or what? I think the whole team's going to get a game ball after this one.
I don't know. Who would you give it to? I mean, there were so many players that did so well. The entire defense. Bud Grant for starting Kramer, I guess.
Yeah, against our advice, right? Mark Mullaney had an excellent game. And don't forget Tommy Kramer. What a job he's done today. There's Pascal again, and look at this rookie. You mentioned earlier you were impressed how quickly he comes off the ball, and there's another example of it.
Yes, he gets a real quick start. I haven't seen him play that much, but I noticed on the first time he carried the ball, he only got a couple yards, but he was right off on the dime, boom. And in football, the most important part of football, as you know, is the first 5, 6, 7 yards.
He blocked for famous Amos Lawrence last year at North Carolina, so he was overshadowed.
First and 10 for the Vikings at the Lions.
But
32.
he's getting some playing time now. Minute 18 left in the game. First down at the 32. Miami, by the way, has now taken a 14-0 lead over Los Angeles. Here's Pascal again. And Pascal is hit by Gary Cobb, and forward progress to the 28-yard line. Second down. David Woodley has thrown a touchdown pass of 31 yards. He's also run for 6 yards to give the Dolphins that 14-0 lead over the Rams. And, of course, the game that the Rams are concerned about is all tied up now between Atlanta and St. Louis.
They were both 6-3 going in the NFC Western Division. They're the only teams in contention in that division.
NFL Today, scores and highlights. Brent and Herb update you on some of those scores that we've been talking about. Show you some highlights. You see the time, less than 30 seconds left in the game. As Pascal not giving up on this one. Driving forward, it'll bring up a third down. A resounding win here today for Minnesota. 34-0, and John, it's going to raise a few eyebrows throughout the league.
The Vikings seem to have arrived. Whether they have arrived in time remains to be seen.
And so Minnesota now at 5-5 for the year. With this win, they split with Detroit for the season, and Detroit hasn't won here since 1974. 34-0 for Johnny Morris. I'm Gary Bender. Brent Musburger and Irv Cross will be updating you with scores and highlights. So long from the Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington, Minnesota. Bud Grant with another win. His Vikings win it 34-0.
Paul, my quarterback's got a better arm.
Right on.
Better
than a pitcher? Namath, you've been out of the game too long.
Hey, that's enough talk, fellas. Let's let Flash decide.
Flash?
Yeah.
Flash is an electronic game for all-around competitors.
Watch this. Yeah.
Flash tests your timing, reflexes, memory, and accuracy because Flash is programmed for 5 challenging games. Flash keeps score for up to 5 players, and super shots mean super bonus points. Flash with 5 electronic games.
It's a great game. From Ideal.
TCR Crossfire Racing, only possible on the wide open track. For the first time, 2 loops connected by 4 lanes of no man's land called Crossfire Alley. To win this race, you must stay on the suicide loop and risk a head-on collision with a jam car. So every lap becomes a countdown of nerves, speed, and lane-changing skill. And only TCR's got it. TCR Crossfire Racing, wide open racing from Ideal.
No experience, no job. I could do that job, but who'd give me the chance?
Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines.
We don't ask for experience, we give it. You won't read it in a book, you live it. Pick a service, pick a challenge, set yourself apart.
Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines.
What a great place, it's a great place to start.
Back live in New York, I'm Brent Musburger with Irv Cross. 2 games now separate all 5 teams in the NFC Central. But the major upset of the day occurred in the Meadowlands in New Jersey, where the Dallas Cowboys were favored by about 10.5 points over the New York Giants. But it was a long afternoon for Danny White. He would serve up 5 interceptions, 2 by Brad Van Pelt, and it was a tackle-eligible play to George Martin that had the Giants ahead. And then Irv Cross, the Cowboys struck.
Just before the half, they came up with this big play. The Giants were caught in a full blitz, even though they were in a 3-man line, and Springs takes the ball and simply outsprinted the secondary.
That pulled the Cowpokes to within 7. This tied it at 28, Robert Newhouse.
Big House is a power runner, but you don't realize how elusive the big guy is, or he waddles in for a score.
Dallas kept on rolling. This time it was Tony Dorsett.
Had a big day, gained somewhere around 184 yards rushing, but it wasn't enough.
This pass tied it. It was Sims to Mulledy, the tight end in the corner. Danello's extra point was good, and then came the flea flicker.
This was the most outstanding play of the day throughout the league. Sims is free. Remember, a wet ball makes a great catch.
And then it was a 27-yard field goal by Joe Danello, 38-35. But back came the Cowboys. They were out of timeouts. They were working the sideline pattern. And here is interception number 5. And the Giants upset the Dallas Cowboys after having lost to them 12 straight times. There's the final, 38-35. The Cowboys' record now 7-3, and they are watching the Saints, who now lead the Eagles. And it's 14-10 in the second period. Chicago rolls over Washington. 35-21 is the final. The Bears' record now 4-6. They are 2 games behind Detroit. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh downs Tampa Bay. Bradshaw goes 11-26 for 100 yards and a touchdown. Williams, 21-45, 302 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Buccaneers 4-5-1. Green Bay up on San Francisco 2016 after the 49ers led it 13-0 at the half in that game. Cleveland continuing to roll, 28-20 now in the 4th. The Colts attempting to rally. A win by the Browns would leave them at 7-3 in the tough AFC Central Division. In Minnesota, the game you watched, blowing away the Lions, and now you have to wonder if those internal problems are not hindering the Lions. Atlanta and St. Louis, the Falcons trailing 17-3 have come back to tie it, and Bartkowski may be driving the Falcons into overtime. 17-0 now, Buffalo over the Jets in the second period. These are all partial scores. Oakland trailing Cincinnati 10-7.